Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way to have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dreamed to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by MyVirago.com.
It's August 13th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is International Left-Handers Day. It's been celebrated since 1976, but only 10% of the population is left-handed. Various items made especially for those who are left-handed can cost more than their right-handed counterparts. Scissors, knives, and even school desks can see a markup of almost 75% more. On this day, South Park debuts on Comedy Central in 1997. The animated series, created by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, follows the lives and adventures of four boys. Eric Cartman,
I'm sailing away.
Kenny McCormick, Kyle Bravlowski, and Stan Marsh in a fictional town called South Park, Colorado. Born on this day in 1926, Fidel Castro, the dictator, ruled Cuba from 1959 to 2008. Famed sharpshooter Annie Oakley, born in 1860. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent, high level of quality. An ISO certified and A2LA lab accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries, and now have approval from Volvo for zinc nickel plating, along with sorting and packaging options. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in the Midwest and North Carolina, with easy access to all forms of transportation from their automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Need consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com. That's RiverdalePHT.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, your deck. The stage for your best moments and everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech, the clean and seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck Tech.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt Matters Show, which airs every Sunday on this station. You can expect lively discussion and heartfelt reflection that will both entertain and inspire you. And if we do it right, maybe deliver some genuine laughter as well. We talk about not only what matters, but also why it matters.
Wyatt Matters, Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 83. On Friday, expect warm weather with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with periods of clouds and sun, followed by showers and thunderstorms at night. The high on Saturday will reach 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Fare thee well, flea-bagging Texas House Marxists. Yeah, they're going home. They're going home. We barely knew thee, Texas State House Democrats, Marxists, a synonymous term these days. They are heading back to Texas, hopefully to face legal consequences, if not political ones as well. And this is after the Texas Senate approved that new congressional map in controversy in a 19-2 vote, 9 Democrats leaving the chamber, according to the Texas Tribune. But it got done anyway. So they, even when they're there, when they don't get their way, they throw a temper tantrum. Some leave the state entirely. Some just leave the state house when things don't go their way. But it just really is emblematic. They joined the pantheon, as we've mentioned, covering this story, of a new Marxists from our neighboring states over the last several years who have fled to Illinois as a safe haven from their minority status in places like Indianapolis and Madison. Maybe there should be some sort of statue memorializing their stay here. I certainly think their names should be remembered in the annals of American history for exemplars of cowardice and immaturity. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. A little plaque near the old Clock Tower Hotel in Rockford. I guess they were staying at the Q Center in St. Charles. So, something just to remember their time here. I'm not sure. I don't remember where the Indiana Democrats stayed when they fled to Illinois back during the bad old days of Mitch Daniels in the Hoosier State. Sure. They're still trying to sort of cover their retreat. I guess the retreat from the retreat, right? They're retreating back to the place they retreated from. The spokeshuman for the caucus. Members are still assessing their strategies going forward and are in a private meeting to make decision about future plans. If and when Texas House Democrats breaking quorum decide to go home is squarely dependent on the actions of the governor, the speaker, and blah, 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 blah. They're going back. They're taking too much heat for not their absence preventing the state legislature there from addressing the flooding needs of Hill Country victims in Texas. So that's a bad look. It's also just a bad look to be self-exile to another state when, if you're a legislator and the legislature is in session. It's just a bad look. I don't think anybody's impressed by this. And there's no end game that works out for them, as Greg Abbott said, we talked about yesterday. The special session that ends Friday, if they're not back, then I will call a new special session. And if they're not back by the time that special session expires, then I will call another special session and another and another and another. I can wait you out. And so they did their little stunt. They got to hang out with Jelly Belly Pritzker. That must have been a great moment in their lives. Or Kathy Hochul, I guess, in New York. Real star power on that side. And now they're going back. By the way, just as an aside, since this spawned all the, well, if Texas is going to do it, then we're going to do it right back at them from people like Pritzker. This just in, the NPR Times, oh boy, they're in trouble. It's PBS NPR got defunded. Anyway, the NPR Times here in Chicago. Illinois redistricting effort possible, but unlikely to yield more Democratic seats. No kidding. Oh, you mean it's an idle threat? Yeah, we know. You're not going to do better than 14-3. You're not going to do better than the Madigan cartographers that you ran cover, that outlets like the NPR Times ran cover for all these many years. Yeah, we know. Also, something else in Texas. This could be fun. The bloodletting may not be over. Ken Paxton, the Attorney General there, is running for U.S. Senate, challenging John Cornyn in that primary. I'm taking action to hold Robert Francis O'Rourke, Bobby O'Rourke, a Beto, I guess, when he's pretending to be ethnic, in contempt for violating a court order and scamming Texans. He's about to find out that running your mouth and ignoring the rule of law has consequences in Texas. It's time to lock him up, says the state attorney general about that once rising star in the ranks there, Bobby Beto O'Rourke. Chris in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, I met you many times. Last time was the watch party when Biden at the debate went underwater.
The debate that ended Biden, yes, okay.
Anyway, we're talking about Texas. You must admit, in Texas, the legislature only makes $600 a month.
Yes.
In Illinois, it's 10 times the amount.
That's right. Thanks for the call, Chris. Yeah, one thing about Texas, I mentioned before, but it's good to revisit. One of the reasons it's a so much better governed state than Illinois, they don't have a professional political class at the state level. Not really. Because they're in session once every 2 years. And as Chris mentioned, they receive a stipend. They don't have a six-figure job where they vest for a pension after, it used to be 4. I think maybe they bumped it up to 6. Vest for a pension after 6 years. Are sort of omnipresent, like the feudal lords in the city council downtown. So it's a big difference. You could learn something from Texas. Budgeting for 2 years because you're only in session once every 2 years. A stipend, very much a citizen legislature, even with those flea-bagging Democrats, because doing that gig doesn't necessarily take you anywhere. Number one. Number two, it certainly isn't going to pay the bills, so you have to do something else. It's a good point. Also, a good point was made in this Wall Street Journal piece, just on the sort of general topic, since we've borne witness to Jelly Belly making the rounds on the TV shows to try and amp up his profile in advance of 2028. I don't think he's benefited very much from what he's tried to do here, but nonetheless, he's been running his mouth just as Bobby O'Rourke has been. Todd Henderson is a law professor at the University of Chicago, writing in the Wall Street Journal. The Illinois voter suppression strategy. J.B. Pritzker is rallying against voter suppression in Texas, grandstanding on late-night TV as he hosts those lawmakers that fled the Lone Star State. But if he's serious about democracy, he's not. Pritzker should start at home, where his state has its own form of voter suppression. Illinois holds local elections in February during off-cycle years, which keeps turnout low and helps insiders cling to power. The voting schedule is a deliberate strategy to rig elections by holding muni elections in the frigid cold and during non-federal years. Incumbent politicians minimize turnout, as we saw in the BLM Brandon election in February and then in April, of course. It's usually about half that of presidential elections in Chicago, the mayoral elections. And he goes through the genesis of those midterm or those off-year spring municipal elections. Yeah, well, there's all sorts of election manipulation in addition to gerrymandering. I mean, remember when Madigan moved the presidential primary in 2000? Well, the primary election here in 2008, that presidential year, up from where it had been in March to the first week of February because he wanted to get Illinois towards the head of the line to benefit Barack Obama's presidential candidacy. And then they pushed it back to March. And then it was pushed to June in 2022. And so they're always manipulating elections, both in terms of time and structure and mapping. They're always attempting to rig, as it were, elections to benefit them, to benefit themselves. Both sides, but particularly here, the Chicago Dem power structure that has been in charge for the last 40 years. So why don't we start by holding the people actually in charge, who bear the large portion of the responsibility, to account first. I mean, that's just attendant to all of this. So the idea that some people wanted to make sure everyone is engaged and they exercise their franchise, and other people are trying to suppress everybody is trying to manipulate all aspects of the election all the time for their narrow or partisan political interests. That's the truth. And all the moral preening by hacks like Jelly Belly does nothing, actually, ironically, but confirm the veracity of the statement I just made. Coming up at 5:38, Cincinnati, so-called community leaders in Cincinnati call for the white guy who they say incited those beatings to be charged as well. Cincinnati continuing to crack up over those beatings from a couple of weeks ago, 5:38. Now we check that line.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump says Goldman Sachs should fire its chief economist after he warned that Americans will pay more thanks to Trump's tariffs. Trump took to Truth Social on Tuesday to tell CEO David Solomon, who also works as a DJ, that he should fire the economist or just focus on his second job. Trump defended his tariffs, arguing they've caused no inflation or problems for Americans. Some dispute that, saying there hasn't been enough time yet because some of the tariffs haven't kicked in yet, and it really hasn't hit Americans yet. So we'll see. 2 American-made cars are going out of production.
Ford Motor Company says 2 of its small SUVs, the Ford Escape and the Lincoln Corsair, will go out of production later this year. The company says the Kentucky plant where the 2 vehicles are built is being retooled to produce a new midsize electric pickup truck. The new EV truck is expected to hit the market in 2027 and cost around $30,000. Fans of the Escape and the Corsair, though, still have time to buy one. Ford says it has enough inventory on hand to sell the SUVs well into 2026. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Need better sleep? On Labor Day weekend, upgrade to premium sleep at Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Let their sleep experts match you with the perfect bed and get the rest you deserve. They make sleep easy. Shop Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next.
Charlie Kirk says we need to tread lightly.
I would introduce some caution here about trying to indict Obama. Not, of course, I think he probably deserves it. But remember, Obama still remains very popular amongst the American people. You could potentially create a political martyr. However, I think indicting Brennan and Comey, who are the operators here, we want this case to be ironclad. If you indict them and this fails, it's worse than never even trying.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. There's a major shift coming in the finance world that could protect both your portfolio and your principals. As initially reported by Alex Saidi of the Wall Street Journal, the White House just released an executive order to stop big banks from debanking customers over political views, including conservatives and crypto firms. Why does this matter? Because when banks target people for their beliefs, they're not just violating rights, they're damaging their own brand integrity. Politicized debanking is a red flag. It erodes trust, invites regulatory scrutiny, and alienates millions of Americans who expect neutrality from financial institutions. President Trump knows this firsthand. Now the administration is fighting back. That's good news for conservatives and a massive win for investors who want to see brand value built on neutrality, not ideology. I'm Jerry Boyer.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Friday will be warm with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with a mix of clouds and sunshine, with showers and thunderstorms possible at night and a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Cincinnati. A renewed call from black, quote-unquote, community leaders. I don't know. All these pastors and race hustlers, there's some overlap on those terms, in urban centers that are always given this community leader designation because they get together and have a press conference to prosecute one issue or another. Are they community leaders? How are the communities they're supposedly leading doing? Anyway, this in response to the brawl that everyone has seen, and we've talked about quite a bit back on the end of July, that because so much of it was caught on video, including the woman Holly, who has now spoken out, being sucker punched and knocked out cold on the street and left there. And people, instead of calling 911, were piling on another guy that the mob was beating up and so on and so forth. 6 people have been charged, all with felonies. The detective in the case, Cincinnati PD, described 2 of the individuals charged as chasing a retreating victim to the ground, where they proceeded to punch and kick him. And you see that in some of the video that's been circulating. He also alleges, does the detective, that one of the assailants then pursued another man, broadening the scope of the violence. Assistant Hamilton County Prosecutor David Hickenlooper characterized the events as, quote, extreme behavior and extreme violence to reinforce the prosecution's stance on the severity of the alleged crimes and the felony charges that have been issued. The detective also implicated another assailant in stating that the video footage depicted him knocking a victim to the ground, then kicking him multiple times in the face and chest. Then he went after another victim. Okay, so that gives you a sense of what the police and the prosecutors are saying about what went down based on the evidence they've gathered. 6 individuals charged with felonies, all black. This has become a racial thing. And who's making it a racial thing? Well, those black community leaders who, building off of what happened early last week, the mayor of Cincinnati having a press availability with the local pastor, who I understand from people who know Cincinnati better than I is sort of their version of Jesse Jackson, calling for all the mugshots. He wants to see all the mugshots. You remember that phrase he used? This Cincinnati Jesse Jackson, I'm saying. Meaning, this argument has been advanced that one of the white guys you see getting beaten up actually incited the violence by slapping a black man who I guess is not one of the 6 individuals charged. And that was sort of the spark that led to this fire of violence on the streets of Cincinnati. Well, now a group of quote-unquote community leaders, black, have gotten together and they're calling for charges.
6 individuals were charged with aggravated assault, which is a felony. The white guy incited or urged 6 other people to commit a felony.
The method by which this situation has been handled raises serious questions as to whether there's bias involved in the investigation. It also brings into question the possibility of a lack of integrity and whether there's something else to hide.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. It's just an odd thing to say, and it's an interesting thing to watch because, of course, Cincinnati, like every major urban center, is dominated by Dems. They're identitarians. The mayor certainly is. Mayor has been generally fairly quiet, other than that press availability he had hiding behind the Jesse Jackson of Cincinnati. But he's allowing them to play racial politics here. And the statements you're hearing from those alleged community leaders, so typical. There's something to hide here. What is there to hide? Why don't you make a specific allegation? By the way, that you've got that Janet Yellen lookalike, who is the police chief. She seems to be DEI oriented from the way that she has addressed this issue. Remember, she was the one who said, hey, stop it, you citizen journalists out there filming things and posting things to social media sites because the videos lack context. And again, as I said at the time, the clear implication was there are going to be mitigating circumstances that once the full context of what happened is put together, that maybe those people we see beating up other people are not completely in the wrong. Although it was hard to imagine how, for example, a guy doing like a running elbow hammer drop on another guy already on the ground was somehow defending himself. But okay. So let's see it. Let's get the full story. I'm happy to hear all the facts, the good, bad, and the ugly. Tell us about these mitigating circumstances after the investigation has been completed. And instead of mitigating circumstances, what we got is aggravated circumstances. The information sort of raised the seriousness of the charges that legitimately should have been applied to those individuals who have been charged. You went from just an aggravated assault, an aggravated assault. Then the detective in the case hit two of them with essentially a charge of premeditation, coordinated the attack, were scouting victims, targeting people. So that's all the additional context we have from the Cincinnati PD. And they don't have any information. They have the information about one guy slapping another guy. But as I just mentioned, in terms of the detective's description, backed up by the prosecutor in the case, the victim was retreating and they pursued. Well, that's no longer self-defense. So something they're hiding, something's going on here. Evidence. But in lieu of evidence, you just charge racism, which is what those quote-unquote community leaders did. Mark in Oak Lawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. You know, it's talk about vigilante and, you know, someone slaps a person, and I could see where the person that was slapped would maybe want to retaliate. But these other six, they weren't even involved in it. And it's almost like a vigilante. And then you got to ask yourself, these religious leaders, they're supposed to be talking about forgiveness and being able to have the discipline to walk away from somebody. But no, just go after them. And these six guys, they're not even the people that were involved in it. And they're the ones that are causing all the damage. These religious leaders are, they're not religious leaders.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mark. Well, right. It would be nice at some point here to acknowledge the community leaders, for them to acknowledge that what these six individuals did was wrong. It's always got to be. But what about? No. How about just give us your commentary on what you see on the videos from the people who have been charged. Is that how you want the community to behave? Now, if there was a guy that slapped another guy, I don't know the particulars of that. I haven't. I've heard quote unquote eyewitness testimony, but apparently it hasn't risen to the level of what the police or prosecutors think is a chargeable offense. And so what are we saying? This Dem-dominated city and DEI-led police department, they're racist? They're in the tank for Whitey? I mean, is that what you think is actually going on in Cincinnati? Yeah. How about you just own this and use this as a moment to say, look, no matter what happens, you know, a verbal altercation or even a minor physical one to metastasize into what we saw on the streets of Cincinnati that night is unacceptable. That's not how we handle conflict. That's not how we handle disagreements, white, black, or other. It'd be nice to hear one of these community leaders say something like that, just once, rather than using it as an opportunity to have a press conference with Ben Crump or to play your racial political games for other purposes. When you get the press conference with all the community leaders in scare quotes together, you know, they're playing a political game that has very little to do with the actual incident. They're not really interested in the incident. They're interested in how they can leverage the incident for political gain. I mean, how many times do we have to see that game run here in Chicago to recognize it when it happens in other cities? Jim in LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, morning. So it's interesting how tangentially race has been brought into this whole equation, because The police chief is formerly the diversity, equity, and inclusion officer for the Cincinnati Police Department. And now a spotlight's been put on her because of a competency issue. When she was asked in a press interview about the chain of command with Trump bringing in the National Guard, she didn't understand what the question was. She didn't understand what a chain of command is.
No, that was D.C.
Oh, sorry. That's right. That's Marion Bowser. Forgive me on that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks, man. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jim. George, Naperville.
Yes, I think community leaders, that have a profile in this are just showing that they have street cred.
Yeah. They're showing something.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
I'm Ben Barzita.
And I'm Matt Nadeau, founding partners of Barzita and Nadeau Wealth Management. And after more than a decade on the air, we're excited to be back with our brand new show, Money Hour Radio.
Tune in every Saturday at 1 p.m. on AM 560 as we break down retirement planning, market trends, tax reduction strategies, and our Advance and Protect investment approach.
It's sophisticated planning, independent analysis, and trusted guidance backed by over 40 years of combined experience.
Join us for Money Hour Radio, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on AM 560.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just a little bit more color on the case in Cincinnati and a little refresher. A text from 847. Any of the 6 charged have existing rap sheets. At least 2 of them did, yes. Including the individual who struck and knocked out Holly, that woman you saw get sucker punched and knocked out on the street. Both had a history of... Two of the 6 had a history of convictions. On the slapping thing, the attorney for one of the 2 who has a criminal record and was charged with coordination, the charges increased on him and another guy. The attorney for the one guy says actually, he was just standing on a street corner tending to his business, and some guy kicked his business vehicle, and then there was a confrontation, and this guy who has been charged got slapped in the face. That's what is alleged by his attorney. The Cincinnati detective on the case acknowledged that police are investigating the victim first striking Matthews, but he also noted that earlier video footage showed this Matthews guy, one of the two, squaring up with another individual prior to the alleged slap. So, there's a lot of talk about the slap and eyewitness accounts of the slap, but maybe that is in the middle of the story and not the beginning of it. And that seems to be where police have landed now, considering the guy that allegedly slapped him, allegedly, we don't even know if it actually happened, but the guy that allegedly slapped him, and this is what they're saying, this is how it was all instigated, has not been charged. And so in lieu of having a plausible explanation or asking questions and getting a police response, you just have quote-unquote community leaders come together and offer fact-free conspiracy theories. Tim in Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Yeah, I was thinking about that slap, and so why did this man slap the black man? You know, with hundreds of blacks standing around him, does anybody think he's just walked up to this guy and decided to slap him and pick a fight with him? I mean, there's times when somebody does feel the need to defend their honor, and so what was said to him that made a slap indicates to me that something was said. That's in a sense defending your honor. You're more like wanting to shame the person for what they said. It's not trying to punch the person. And that was my thought on that. And that preacher who had I think his last name was Lynch, who asked last week, I think it was, why didn't this guy just walk away when this happened? Now we see that one of the charges is pursuing and continuing to beat a retreating individual.
Yes.
And, and I'm sorry, it just seems like it's becoming another example of the category of the soft racism of low expectations. And like you said, Dan, this would be a perfect opportunity, which, by the way, the black leaders are all too happy to play that game, but it's a perfect opportunity for them to step up and say we're not going to play this game anymore, but they won't.
Thanks for the call, Tim. One of the 6 charged is a woman. But by the way, could the pastors and the community leaders bring themselves to say, there is never cause to sucker punch, particularly a man sucker punching a female. That was a horrific thing that was done. Holly, the woman Holly should not have endured that violence. But also, the woman charged in this, she is accused of inflicting serious physical harm. She's accused of felonious assault, and aggravated right. She's been charged. What she did, and she approached and punched a Russian woman who was attempting to protect someone on the ground. She interjected herself into the brawl, but no condemnation from the community leaders for that kind of behavior. Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention back to Trump's intervention in D.C.
Ukraine's president has just arrived in Berlin. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, where Volodymyr Zelensky is going to hold a lot of talks with Germany's chancellor in person and then European leaders virtually before a call with President Trump ahead of Friday's summit in Alaska between the president and Russian leader Vladimir Putin trying to stop the war in Ukraine. But Zelensky will not be part of those talks.
Conversations between Putin and Trump may be important for their bilateral, but they cannot agree on anything about Ukraine without us.
Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry just said they've captured 2 more towns in eastern Ukraine. Speaking of Russia, its political interference in the 2016 election is part of a new investigation, and President Trump just posted on Truth Social, just out, irrefutable proof that now Senator Adam Schiff, who led the House Intelligence Committee's investigation into allegations the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, approved a plan to leak classified information to damage President Trump in his first term. Now, that post is a reaction to a Democratic whistleblower's allegation.
That, according to documents obtained by Fox News, where the whistleblower, during a private meeting with Schiff and others, allegedly tried to tell Schiff the actions would be illegal.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmel. Senator Schiff, in response, calls it a smear that's absolutely false and defamatory from a disgruntled former staffer who'd been fired. National Guard troops are on the streets now in Washington after President Trump federalized D.C. police to crack down on crime. As his Democratic critics counter, violent crime is at a 30-year low in D.C. Federal agents also on patrol, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says they made a few dozen arrests.
These arrests consisted of homicide, firearms offenses, possession with intent to distribute narcotics.
Speaking of that, Mexico has sent 26 cartel leaders and others to the U.S. to face charges.
One of them is accused of participating in the 2008 murder of a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. American authorities are ratcheting up pressure on criminal networks sending drugs across the border.
That's Tom Rigatti, America's
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Johnson is reaching a tentative agreement with Chicago's rank-and-file firefighters union. The mayor announced the agreement with the Chicago Firefighters Union Local 2 yesterday, ending 4 years of negotiations.
Part of the agreement would include, and we've budgeted for, back pay, and there are some other elements within the tentative agreement that I believe places us in a stronger position to build a safe and affordable big city.
The deal must still be approved by union members and the city council. The contract includes hundreds of millions of dollars in retroactive pay. There is flooding being reported throughout the Chicago area after heavy rains hit the region. Yesterday's storms brought heavy downpours, causing isolated flooding throughout the region, including Chicago. Flights were delayed at O'Hare and Midway airports, and ComEd reported scattered power outages. Chicago Public Schools officials are still figuring out how to solve their budget crisis. CPS leaders met yesterday with Mayor Johnson's office as well as Chicago Teachers Union officials to discuss ways to fill CPS's $734 million budget deficit. Some options include taking out a $200 million loan and asking for new state revenue, while accepting responsibility for a controversial $175 million pension payment. The district must present a balanced budget to the school board today. News is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each is priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive cash or a check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by myvirago.com.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different.
Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 7 minutes. Outbound, 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 12 minutes. Outbound is 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 15 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 12 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 83. On Friday, expect warm weather with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with periods of clouds and sun, followed by showers and thunderstorms at night. The high on Saturday will reach 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and the reactions to President Trump's intervention in D.C. continue to pour in. They're fascinating, the reactions from the left. BLM Brandon, why don't we start with him, our local guy? He continues to opine on the topic. And, I suppose it will always be just good enough in Illinois and Chicago for the rest of President Trump's time on the scene to be virulently anti-Trump no matter what he says or does. I suppose that will be good enough just to demagogue the president so as to not have to address your own performance. And that's the BLM Brandon Jelly Belly Pritzker program.
He is one of the biggest threats to humanity that we've seen in an entire generation.
No, it's not an overstatement. No, of course not. And BLM Brandon is standing guard. You're going to have to come through him.
Though we take these threats seriously, we will not bow down or succumb to his tyrant rage.
I'm sorry, what is the threat again? The threat is to bring essentially law enforcement resources to bear on crime and other illustrations of communal degradation, the homeless encampments, the graffitiing, basically to use federal resources to take a broken windows approach to quality of life in the District of Columbia. And he says, he made an overture that he'll consider doing that in places like Chicago or Baltimore as well. So what is the threat? The threat is to do your job for you? which is to provide for a safe environment for your constituents, a safe and pleasant environment. As I said yesterday, all this talk about violent crime being at a 30-year low and so forth, that doesn't speak to, that is not the entire picture. Never has been. Murders are down year over year, still higher than pre-COVID levels, but we don't want to look at any sort of snapshot that would undermine this statistic that we have as our absolution card. But not being murdered or carjacked is not the standard for quality life, the quality of life in a big city America. Is that a mystifying statement? Anyway, BLM Brandon knows something about this. Okay. He knows something about what the president can and can't do, what the president should and should not do, what a mayor needs to do to keep his people safe. And you know why he knows that? All of that? He's a teacher.
You talk about incompetence. Look, I taught 7th grade. In Chicago, 7th graders have to pass the Constitution. I taught it. This president could use a 7th grade class right now to understand the basics of the Constitution.
Constitutional scholar Brandon Johnson. Gosh, I wish I was in the D.C. press corps or he had the political courage to come on this show so we could have a little discussion about the Constitution. Perhaps he could provide everyone a little tutorial. I'll just ask the questions. He can give the answers. He's so knowledgeable on the topic. I have a follow-up, though, too, separate and distinct from his knowledge of the Constitution. 7th graders have to pass a Constitution test in Chicago? How do they pass a Constitution test when fewer than 1 in 3 of them can read at grade level? I digress. The real problem here, and this was echoed by all the hysterics on MSNBC. Say it with me. Money. Took away money for those violence interrupters. We don't have wraparound services in places like D.C. and Chicago where we need them.
These are individuals who are on the front line, the money that he took to give to the ultra rich, that are preventing violence from taking place. He's exacerbating the problem here. And inch by inch, he continues to see what he will get away with.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. If you thought BLM Brandon's rhetoric was a bit hyperbolic, you haven't heard anything yet. He's amateur hour. The MSNBC propagandists, that's prime time. That's the big leagues. Adnan Giridharadas, who has some rag called The Ink. You see him all the time on MSNBC if you watch it, but I do that for you. You're welcome. You know what the real crime problem is in D.C.? I'll tell you what, it has nothing to do with murders and carjackings. The real problem in D.C. has nothing to do with homeless encampments. The real crime problem?
And a relatively small crime problem is being used for specific authoritarian purposes that we know and understand. So let's be clear about D.C. does have one really big crime problem, which was the January 6th insurrection incited by the current president of the United States. And his first act in coming back was pardoning all the people who tried to overturn constitutional republic order in Washington, D.C. When I go to D.C., I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid of losing my vote. I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid that my children's freedom to breathe will be stolen in a world where climate change policy is non-existent. I'm afraid that the future of middle-class people will be stolen by the very things you were talking about, cutting the safety net, cutting Medicaid, cutting rural hospitals.
Right. Yeah. I'm afraid of losing my breath because of poor climate change policy. As a one wag on X commented, in response to Mr. Gilad Haradas. I too avoid U Street at night because climate change may attack me from behind and stomp on my head. Yeah, it can happen. The real crime problem.
The Republic is being stolen. This is the big crime story. And he is using a very comparatively smaller crime story. And see, I'm talking about both. We can talk about both. But he's using the one to do the other, right? He's using the small crime story to entrench the big crime story in which he, a convicted felon, is the criminal.
Uh-huh. So I just want to make sure I got the logic here. It's been difficult to follow the last few days, well, always, but particularly the last few days as I'm instructed on gerrymandering and now domestic crime. So Trump is scrambling federal resources to improve the public safety and in D.C., as well as to beautify the city. And this is all a feint while he somehow executes a plan to, quote unquote, steal the republic, whatever that means. Okay. You know, it's funny. Not everybody has time to dream up these fanciful tales in which they cast themselves as heroes of the republic. Not everybody, has the time, the bandwidth to be able to act as a vanguard for our representative democracy. Thank God we have people like Mr. Gilad Haradas. But other people in D.C. have more pedestrian problems, like this guy who taped this message on a piece of, like a piece of paper from a legal pad on his back driver's side window of his car. Quote, "There is nothing of value in this car, only restaurant supplies and plus broken dreams. Please don't break the window for the 5th time." Right, violent crime is down. And quality of life is going in which direction? According to the actual residents. Kyra Phillips is a reporter, anchor, newsreader for ABC in D.C. Here's what she said, her own personal experience working in D.C., living in D.C., that of her colleagues in the news business there.
We've been talking so much about the numbers, and yeah, usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk about, oh, well, stats say crime is down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand while working and living down here.
That's not the real crime problem. The real crime problem is the guy in the White House is trying to steal the republic. And if you don't like it, if you don't like what's happening in D.C., well, a former Schumer flack, his legislative director, Jim Kessler, now a lobster inside the Beltway, of course he is, has this to say to you, middle America, wants to vacation to D.C., maybe take an educational trip for the kids, or schools taking field trips. Anybody expressing any qualms about D.C.? You got any problem with what's going on in our nation's capital? By the way, that you pay for. One of the richest regions in the country, in Northern Virginia, not D.C. proper, but it's because of everybody who makes a mint working for the federal government or as a lobbyist like Mr. Kessler. He's got a message for you.
our taxpayer dollars here. If people are afraid to come to D.C., go to Disney World, get fat, eat French fries. I don't care. I've lived here 37 years. I am not afraid. I live in the city. I'm not afraid of this city. If you're afraid, go ahead. Leave your fear someplace else.
Yeah, you don't like it? Go pound sand. I mean, that's it's such a great expression of the DC mentality generally. The disdain that they have for people who underwrite their lives. You don't like it? Go to Disney World, eat fries, get fat. We don't have time for you. Yeah. No, we get that message. The left has been giving it, and some on the right have been, at least in the Republican, I'd say the right, but some Republicans too, great disdain for the American people. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Yeah, these newfound lovers of the Republic are kind of like senators that were under like Caligula or Nero. You know, they enjoyed it while times are good for them, but so now they're going to come back and claim the Republic. Right now, the Democratic Party is kind of like, it's the year of the four Rome, or the four emperors. They're in disarray. They don't know their ass from their elbow. I don't think they're ever going to get organized. But this is why, what happens after Trump leaves? What happens after Trump leaves? People have to get organized now. I say it all the time on the precinct level, because once Trump's gone, I'm kind of afraid of what's going to happen.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. I'm afraid of this mentality in urban centers, big cities. As I said yesterday, at least Trump is expressing some real concern for big cities. He wants to do something about the quality of life for big city residents who didn't vote for him. He has an affinity for big cities. I think it's genuine. And this is not something new. Oh, he's just happened upon this idea as a misdirection play so he doesn't have to address the Epstein files like Dick Durbin said, or because he's trying to steal the Republic, or any of these other just so far over the top, preposterous statements coming from the left. He's been talking about big city America since he arrived on the scene. He's been talking about it since 2016. Everywhere he goes, and one of the points that he made in 2016, you'll recall, was to do rallies in big cities. He attempted to do one in Chicago. Remember that one that got canceled because of the immaturity of some segment of the population here that decided to throw a big street level temper tantrum rather than, let a guy have his say. We're all on one big college campus now. That's what they do. But the mentality I'm talking about, this is just a great exemplar of it. I always use the guy, the story, real story. The guy who got winged in his hand walking with his significant other. I think it was in the financial district. And when the press interviewed him about, being a innocent bystander / victim of a shooting, thankfully he was only winged. He said, that's just part of big city living. The Washington Post has another example. In response to the controversy in D.C., manufactured though it may be, one resident of D.C., quote, "This is a safe city, but overhearing and witnessing gang threats and then watching the camera footage of the thuggery is disturbing. But it's a safe city. But overhearing and witnessing gang threats and then watching the camera footage of the thuggery is disturbing." Talking about a particular incident. Said one resident, wait for it, "speaking on the condition of anonymity over concerns of personal safety. This is a safe city, but I can't give you my name because I'm afraid for my personal safety." I mean, this is what we talked about a bit yesterday with Theodore Dalrymple. I don't know. I mean, other than as what he said yesterday, other than on an individual by individual basis, other than somebody who knows this anonymous resident of D.C. saying, I saw what you said here. Do you understand how this is a contradiction in terms? Do you understand? Like, this sounds like somebody who has a split personality disorder. It's a safe city speaking on the condition of anonymity over concerns of personal safety. You have to pick a lane. That's what you're up against in so much of big city America, which is why you just have the Brandon Johnsons and the J.B. Pritzkers and all of the other Marxist hustlers say, just hate Trump. Hate Trump and everything will be better. Carl in Northlake, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Hey, I'm going to make this real simple. You take a person that's morbidly obese, 500 pounds. They lose 100 pounds. They're still morbidly obese, and it's real simple with that crime problem. Yeah, it's down a little bit, but it's still a serious problem.
Yeah, exactly, Carl. White Sox were the worst team in baseball history last year. They're a little bit better this year. They're still a terrible team. Vince in Crete.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Remember a few years ago, supposedly all the crime stats in England were way down, and in London, then they found out that the constables were all being rewarded on a percentage basis of how much crime was being reduced. So it was all a bunch of bull crap. And how many crimes go unreported? How many people are getting maybe robbed of something, a cell phone, and they're just not going to turn it in? So
yeah. Thanks for the call, Vince. I agree with you. I think I think there's legitimate questions about the methodology with respect to gathering crime statistics. I think it's more likely than not that a lot of crime, even violent crime, is not captured in the statistics. And which is why, by the way, in places like Chicago, when you look at opinion polling, I mean, I know they're going to say this is because if it bleeds, it leads distortions by the media focusing on public safety and violence. But there may be an aspect of that. But the reason that crime and public safety is always right near the top of people's issue concerns in places like Chicago and even Chicagoland, because, of course, you have a lot of suburban residents who would like to enjoy the city, like the city, would like to go to the city, don't feel they really have an interest in going to the city at present for all kinds of obvious reasons, starting with public safety. The reason is because it's real. You're not allowed to feel your feelings. Okay. Bill in Waukegan.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. Really quick, I was stationed there right after 9/11 in D.C., worked at the Pentagon, and once I dropped my family off because they came to help me move and stuff. Anyway, after dropping them off, I was driving back to where I was staying, and I got lost, and I wound up in a really bad area of the neighborhood, and a black cop pulled me over because he saw this white guy driving a 850 Volvo, not knowing where the heck he's going. And he told me, he pulled me over. He says, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" He thought I was going to be there to buy drugs or something. I said, "No, I'm lost." And he escorted me safely back to where I was living at. And because he said that you shouldn't be in this neighborhood, don't ever come back. This is a tough neighborhood. So, I just agree that everybody is falsifying the true facts of what it is to live in D.C. And I was there for 11 years. And let me tell you, I never went back to that neighborhood. Thanks for taking my call, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah, Clark Griswold on the wrong side of town in St. Louis in vacation, right? Yeah. You know who else has had that impression of D.C. A long time ago? Joe Biden. Joe Biden in 1992 on the floor of the Senate, talking about how his staff talks to him and illustrates to him how dangerous D.C. is. 33 years ago.
Driving home, my staff who lives here in the Hill reminded me, don't stop at a stoplight until I'm out of town. If I see a red light late at night, since there's very little traffic, slow up at the other block so I never come to a full stop except in the middle of the block because of carjackings. Stopping at a light, people standing at a corner, walking up with a gun.
1992, Joe Biden. Point is that you have had the same philosophy of governance for generations in all of these big cities, and District of Columbia, which is not a big city, but it's an urban center, obviously. The names have changed, the policy approach, with few exceptions. The policy approach has not. So, yeah, some statistics increase year over year, some years, decrease year over year, some years. But the net of it is the quality of life slowly and then sometimes more quickly deteriorates. What you get for what you pay. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody, no matter their affinity for the city of Chicago, for example, right now, who has some history, so has some perspective over, say, the last 30 years, to say that the city of Chicago is on an upward trajectory. The city of Chicago is just as vibrant and just as exciting and just as dynamic as it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, cities go through cycles. New York City almost went bankrupt in the late 70s, and then it had this resurgence in the 80s into the 90s. And right, there are some cyclical aspects of it. But the net of this philosophy of governance that has dominated big city America, sometimes for generations, in Chicago's case for a century, what is the net of it? Coming up at 6:36, speaking of Chuck Schumer, just mentioned his former legislative director telling you if you don't like D.C. or feel safe, then, go to Disney World, ma and pa kettle, eat fries and get fat. The gentleman he used to work for, one Pagliacci Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader. You've met Corn Pop. You've met T-Bone. I mean, you haven't met them because they're the imaginary friends of Corn Pop would be Biden and T-Bone would be Cory Booker. Meet Joe and Eileen Bailey, two very close friends of Chuck Schumer. 6:36. Now we check the headline.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Vladimir Putin will be the first Russian leader to visit Alaska when he meets with President Trump in Anchorage this week.
Trump and Putin will hold their summit Friday at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, a giant military base with over 30,000 residents. That includes both Elmendorf Air Force Base and Fort Richardson Army Base. Alaska also plays a part in Russian history. The U.S. purchased the Alaskan territory from Russia over 150 years ago. At Friday's summit, Trump and Putin will discuss ending Russia's war in Ukraine, which Trump has said may include swapping some territory. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Department of Energy says it selected 11 companies for a pilot program to develop small, high-tech nuclear reactors.
The DOE said Tuesday it wants the firms to start testing the reactors so they could get at least 3 of them operating in less than a year. The small reactors are being developed to help meet the high energy demand of artificial intelligence and data centers. In May, President Trump signed executive orders to speed up permits for nuclear reactors and to allow the Energy Department to authorize them without the approval of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space, making it seem brighter and more spacious. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt sees their true colors.
I think this Texas story is so indicative of the dire straits in which Democrats have fallen. I hope the voters in Texas remember when you need them the most, Democrats will run away. That's what happened in North Carolina, by the way, in the floods under Joe Biden. That's what happened in Ohio and East Palestine. That's what happens whenever disasters happen and Democrats are in charge. They run away.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Leica Microsystems Incorporated in Deerfield, Illinois, seeks a data engineer to focus on data warehousing, data management, business intelligence, and data analytics projects within the global marketing team. Qualified candidates must have a bachelor's degree or foreign degree equivalent in information technology, computer science, data analytics, or related field, plus 5 years of experience, or a master's degree and 3 years of experience. Position requires 20% travel. May work from anywhere in the United States. Salary is $138,715. Salary range is $80,800 to $141,400. Benefits are available at mydanaherbenefits.com. Submit resume to latoya.loving@leicaBiosystems.com and reference job title. That's LATOYA.LOVING@LEICABiosystems.com. If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 7 minutes. Outbound, 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 12 minutes. Outbound is 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 15 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. And on the Dan Bryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 12 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com sells custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Their blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't, for any reason, they'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Friday will be warm with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with a mix of clouds and sunshine, with showers and thunderstorms possible at night and a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Froft here, and I don't have much use for John Oliver, and I don't think he's particularly funny, at least not since he had better writers when he was like a correspondent on The Daily Show. Same thing with Colbert. He had some real talented writers there. They made Jon Stewart and John Oliver and Stephen Colbert look very good. When left to their own devices, self-immolation. Less so with Stewart, but certainly the other two. But anyway, when you're right, you're right. And when you happen upon a good story and you put together a good package, hey, I'll be the first one to tip my cap and enjoy it along with you. John Oliver on Joe and Eileen Bailey, Chuck Schumer's imaginary friends. You thought Corn Pop and T-Bone were funny stories that illustrated the level of delusion that exists in the minds of politicians like a Joe Biden, like a Cory Booker? So far past that. This is incredible. I don't want to oversell it, but I mean, I was just gobsmacked watching this segment, and I got to share it. It's so good.
But I actually want to talk less about Chuck Schumer himself and more about two of his favourite people, Joe and Eileen Bailey. They're a couple that throughout Schumer's career, he has talked about a lot.
They're a middle-class couple in Massapequa, which is a suburb on Long Island. Joe and Eileen Bailey, this middle-class couple, they bought into Reagan Republicanism in 1980. Joe and Eileen are worried about losing their jobs or their friends' jobs. The Baileys really don't believe in trickle-down. They don't believe in a whole lot of government spending, but they believe in tax breaks for kids to go to college. He's an insurance adjuster and lives in the New York suburbs. By New York standards, he makes $50,000 a year. If he lived in the middle of the country, he'd make $40,000. Wife works in a medical office. She makes about $20,000. She might make $15,000 elsewhere. And, you know, I have guided my political life through the Baileys.
The Baileys have guided Chuck Schumer's political life, which is a little weird given they don't exist. Seriously, he invented them. Schumer first introduced the world to the Baileys in his 2007 book, Positively American, Winning Back the Middle-Class Majority, One Family at a Time. In it, he mentions the Baileys an astonishing 265 times in 264 pages. But he'd apparently been talking about them for years before the book was published. One of his former spokespeople said he's always asking, what would the Baileys think? And to be fair, Schumer acknowledges that some may find this a little weird.
If you ask my staff, I've been talking about and talking to the Baileys for 15 years. I have conversations with them. One of my staffers once said I had imaginary friends to the press. Got me in some trouble. But these people are real, and I respect them, and I really love them, and I care about them.
OK, sure, but they're literally not real, Chuck. But even if you can understand the potential utility of creating a prototypical voter in your head, this goes way beyond that, because Schumer's given the Baileys an unnecessarily detailed backstory. For instance, he said Joe takes off his cap and sings along with the national anthem before the occasional Islanders game. OK. And when their daughter Megan, oh yeah, they've got kids by the way, told Eileen a friend was caught cheating on a quiz, Eileen was appalled because lying is not tolerated in the house ever. Also, Eileen apparently helps with the clothing drive at her church, and her father had a prostate cancer scare a few years ago. Again, this is a made-up family. None of these people exist. But wait, I'm still not done. Apparently Joe Bailey would never have a goatee. They watch Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives, though Joe pretends not to like either show. They think most baseball players probably take steroids, and if they were to ever go out to a Chinese restaurant, they would order Kung Pao chicken. That is a J.R.R. Tolkien level of gratuitous backstory, and I don't say that lightly.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, and text line. Just remember that phrase, Schumer's own words. Joe and Eileen Bailey, who apparently are distant cousins of George and Mary Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life, they have guided his political life. And he really means it, because you heard some excerpts of him talking about the Baileys. I love them very much. They're real, and I love them very much. They're not real. The Baileys' views on the issues of the day, because Schumer talks to them.
The Baileys are not anti-immigration, but they are anti-illegal immigration. They really dislike the Enron executives who stole money, but they hate the people who burn the flag even more. They are pro-choice. They understand that a fundamental decision like that should be made by the individual, but they're glad their church isn't.
Really? Are you sure about that?
The Baileys' votes over the last 3 cycles. The Baileys' votes in the Trump era. Probably be interested.
He explained how the Baileys had voted in the past few presidential elections.
They voted for Clinton, and then they voted for Bush. They're not a member of one party or another. They're independent.
Did they vote for Donald Trump?
Both of them did in 2016. Joe Bailey still did in 2020 with misgivings, but she didn't.
Yeah. The Baileys voted for Trump. And just this March, a reporter actually got an update on their voting history.
You said the Baileys voted for Trump in 2016. They split Trump-Biden in 2020. I'm wondering who they voted for in 2024.
Probably voted for Trump. But if you ask them why, I think they'd say, above all, crime.
Okay, so to recap, of the 6 votes the Baileys had across the last 3 presidential elections, 5 went to Donald Trump.
And they've guided his political career. I'm just speechless over this. You want to talk about a mental competency test to maintain your position in public office? Right now, Schumer is at his lowest approval rating in more than 2 decades, according to some of the polling that's been released. And there's a lot of talk about AOC running against him. Boy, AOC versus Chuck Schumer and the Baileys. That would be an interesting row, and I'd love to see it play out. But, honestly, there's something... This is like James McAvoy in Split. This is like an M. Night Shyamalan deal. I don't know what this is, but it is wild, isn't it? If they went to a Chinese restaurant, they'd order Kung Pao chicken. If you want to be a novelist or create, work up a treatment for a sitcom or something like this, then go ahead. But the way he talks about them is, I don't want to say sociopathic, but there's definitely a mental break there. And Chuck Schumer should apparently be under professional care at this point. Well, frankly, like much of the rest of his party.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
I can't wait, by the way, till this Joe and Eileen Bailey business with Chuck Schumer gets wider distribution. I know there'll be allies of Schumer and the party in the legacy media to try to sidestep this. I mean, some of those comments he made about how Joe and Eileen Bailey voted, he was talking to like the New York Times. It's just priceless and insane at the same time. And Chuck Schumer so richly deserves to be treated like the laughing stock that he is, and have, that sort of grotesque attribution be his permanent legacy. I'm just doing everything I can to help get this distributed, and I hope you will too. All right, on another note, if you're dealing with chronic joint pain, stop what you're doing and listen up. I recommend you call my friends at QC Kinetics, non-surgical regenerative treatment, to schedule a free consultation. They're going to help you with your knee pain, your hip pain, your back pain, help you feel better, move better, and live better. They use treatments that work with your body to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue, natural cellular therapies, no scalpels, no pills, just long-term relief with no dreaded recovery. So many radio listeners are seeing great results, and you will too. And as everybody knows, as you age, mobility is key. So it's time to call and schedule your free consultation with Dr. Caravelli and the medical pros at QC Kinetics. There are thousands of patients who will tell you they wish they would have done it sooner. Bring your x-rays and MRIs for free, no-pressure chat and thorough evaluation to see if you're a good candidate. Grab your phone and call 312-809-5955. That number is 312-809-5955. Again, call QC Kinetics at 312-809-5955 and tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey, if you're sending your child off to college this fall, make sure you give them more than a backpack and a laptop. You need to give them peace of mind. This world is a very dangerous place. Go to Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. It is the less lethal launcher, and it is the ultimate off-campus protection without the legal, financial, or emotional burden of using a firearm. I carry one every single day. I recommend anyone concerned about personal safety or the safety of their family, you need one as well. By the way, it's legal in all 50 states. They can ship it straight to your door. And don't forget, over 500 government agencies now are using this incredible technology because you can incapacitate any perpetrator for 30 to 40 minutes. Legal all 50 states, no background check required, and it fires those kinetic rounds. Just go to BYRNA.com, all hand assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Visit ByrnaBYRNA.com today and find the right launcher for your family. That's BYRNA.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here. Some reactions to Chuck Schumer and his good friends and imaginary friends, Joe and Eileen Bailey. Harry in Hawthorne Woods, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan.
Morning.
Good morning?
Yep, we hear you.
Yes, I moved from Hawthorne Woods a long time ago. I'm in Florida.
Oh, good for you.
But anyway, yeah, I know. A prerequisite for being a politician is being a liar. You know, it brings back the old joke, how can you tell when a politician's lying, his lips are moving? Mm-hmm. These people, I think a big part of their personality is they're pathological liars. They feel the need to lie for whatever reason in order to feel superior, maybe. I'm not sure. But they have to make things up. They're so used to doing it. If they're not doing it, they feel like there's something wrong. So
yeah, thanks for the call, Harry. I appreciate it. I mean, and I don't know why either, but you're right that Schumer and these people need a psychological workup. It's just an odd lie. I mean, it's an odd lie. It's just the whole thing is just odd. I don't even know if you call it just fantastical. I mean, you know, Biden is a fantasist too. I mean, he has all these apocryphal stories about his academic performance and corn pop and this and that. I mean, we've gone through all those. I mean, he tells terrible lies too, like the crash that took the life of his first wife and daughter. That was a drunk driving crash when it wasn't. I mean, it's that stuff like that. But this doesn't, you know. But the T-bone thing or the corn pop thing, you know, it's Booker and Biden trying to show that they're tough guys and they're, you know, they've had to tussle on the streets. This is just weird. I mean, we got a text from 708. Do you think the Baileys are a metaphor for a segment of the voting public? Well, yes, but why don't you just present them as such? You know, let me give you the, you know, sort of the prototypical voter or couple when I'm talking about, you know, middle income values or common sense Americans or people that are independent minded voters. I mean, the whole, as John Oliver rightly pointed out, the whole backstory and the details is so bizarre. He's an insurance adjuster and they voted for, they have children. They don't tolerate lying in the house. They think most baseball players take steroids and so on and so forth. They watch Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives. What? So bizarre. Cognitive testing for all politicians. You got to re-up every couple of years. Make sure, I mean, pathological lying, yes, we're used to. This is, boy, something different and more disturbing. The deep recesses of Chuck Schumer's mind. All right, coming up 7:07, we'll talk more electoral politics with Selena Zito.
They are
are great people who want to see a deal done. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump just posted about European leaders who he'll soon have a virtual meeting with 2 days before his summit with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Alaska, trying to stop the war in Ukraine. The president will also talk to Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky, who will not be part of Friday's Trump-Putin sit-down.
But they cannot agree on anything about Ukraine without us.
Ukrainian soldiers echo Zelensky in saying that giving up territory to Russia is not an option. President Trump feels a fair land swap is the most plausible path to ending bloodshed.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff, Russia's defense ministry, said today they've taken over 2 more towns in eastern Ukraine. Another Trump Truth Social post was also related to Russia this morning. He wrote, "There's irrefutable proof that Adam Schiff approved a plan to leak classified information to damage Donald Trump." Well, that came from a Democratic whistleblower, and it's prompted other Republicans to call for Schiff's resignation.
The now California senator was the ranking member and chairman of the House Intelligence Committee during President Trump's first term in office and pushed the investigation into allegations of President Trump colluding with Russia to influence the 2016 election. Schiff's office responding by saying the allegations are not reliable, not credible, and unsubstantiated from a disgruntled former staffer.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. In New York, Immigration and Customs Enforcement's taken 3 suspected MS-13 gang members into custody, saying they're in the U.S. illegally and wanted for attempted murder and assault. Now to Washington, where Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports.
The National Guard has arrived in the nation's capital under President Trump's orders to fight crime and reduce homelessness. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says this ramped-up presence should last for about a month.
Within these 30 days, our entire focus is making sure that this is the most efficient operation possible.
There are also federal agents on the streets after President Trump also federalized D.C. police. City leaders push back on him, saying D.C.'s out of control, citing numbers that violent crime is at a 30-year low in 2024. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Chicago Public Schools officials are still trying to solve their budget crisis. Interim CPS CEO Macklin King says all options are on the table.
It is constant conversations with our teams, looking through our budget, looking for savings, looking for where opportunities to protect the critical investment that the district has already made.
Some options include taking out a $200 million loan and asking for new state revenue while accepting responsibility for a controversial $175 million pension payment. The district must present a balanced budget to the school board today. Mayor Johnson is speaking out following President Trump's threat this week to deploy the National Guard to Chicago to fight crime. The mayor called the president one of the biggest threats to humanity that we've seen in an entire generation. Johnson said Trump doesn't have the legal authority to deploy the National Guard. He also called on the president to reinstate funding for community violence prevention programs. There's many people that say Johnson is absolutely wrong. In fact, a $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to an arrest due to a deadly mass shooting on the West Side last weekend.
28th Ward Alderman Jason Irvin questions the organizers of the outdoor party early Sunday in the 100 block of North La Crosse.
I don't care what type of planning you could have done. West End and La Crosse is not equipped to handle thousands of people at 1 o'clock in the morning.
One person was killed and at least 6 others were wounded during the incident. No one is in custody.
That was Perry Williams. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by MyVirago.com.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. There's a major shift coming in the finance world that could protect both your portfolio and your principals. As initially reported by Alex Saidi of the Wall Street Journal, the White House just released an executive order to stop big banks from debanking customers over political views, including conservatives and crypto firms. Why does this matter? Because when banks target people for their beliefs, they're not just violating rights, they're damaging their own brand integrity. Politicized debanking is a red flag. It erodes trust, invites regulatory scrutiny, and alienates millions of Americans who expect neutrality from financial institutions. President Trump knows this firsthand. Now the administration is fighting back. That's good news for conservatives and a massive win for investors who want to see brand value built on neutrality, not ideology. I'm Jerry Boyer.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes. On the outbound side, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, about 21 minutes. That's due to an earlier accident between Montrose and Sacramento Avenue, a bit slow. On the outbound side, about 20 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 32 minutes. Outbound, 23 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 28 minutes. Outbound is about 21 minutes. Traffic is a service of Anthony DeGrotto, your Chicagoland State Farm agent. His team will work to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Like a good neighbor, Anthony DeGrotto State Farm is there. DeGrottoSF.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Friday will be warm with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with a mix of clouds and sunshine, with showers and thunderstorms possible at night and a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and I can't get over this Joe and Eileen Bailey business with Pagliacci Schumer. I mean, it is just dumbfounding. I got to get Selena Zito to weigh in on this, just to reset the table. I won't go through the entire John Oliver piece on it again, but Chuck Schumer talking about the Baileys, Joe and Eileen Bailey's views on issues, talking about their votes. I mean, like on Ezra Klein's podcast, like to the New York Times. Listen to the way he talks about them.
The Baileys are not anti-immigration, but they are anti-illegal immigration. They really dislike the Enron executives who stole money, but they hate the people who burn the flag even more. They are pro-choice. They understand that a fundamental decision like that should be made by the individual, but they're glad their church isn't.
Really? Are you sure about that?
Do they know Corn Pop or T-Bone or any of Obama's ex-girlfriends by chance? Joe and Eileen Bailey's votes the last several cycles.
He explained how the Baileys had voted in the past few presidential elections.
They voted for Clinton and then they voted for Bush. They're not a member of one party or another. They're independent.
Did they vote for Donald Trump?
Both of them did in 2016. Joe Bailey still did in 2020 with misgivings, but she didn't.
Yeah. The Baileys voted for Trump. And just this March, a reporter actually got an update on their voting history.
You said the Baileys voted for Trump in 2016. They split Trump-Biden in 2020. I'm wondering who they voted for in 2024.
Probably voted for Trump. Probably voted for Trump. But if you ask them why, I think they'd say, above all, crime.
Okay, so to recap, of the 6 votes the Baileys had across the last 3 presidential elections, 5 went to Donald Trump.
And that's the couple that has guided Chuck Schumer's political life. Selena Zito is a national political reporter. You can always check out her latest writings at selenazito.com. She has a new book out, Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. Selena, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Of course it is. Congratulations. That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
So, I mean, if you want to disclose any imaginary friends you have before we continue the conversation, but I mean, I know we were talking before you joined us, the fantastical stories that Joe Biden would tell that had no basis in reality, and his T-Bone anecdote or his Corn Pop anecdote, and Cory Booker's T-Bone anecdote, composites of the universe of ex-girlfriends that Obama had. These things that are always weird, but this is like the details here, the way that he talks about this fictional couple. I mean, this is really, really loony.
Yeah, it's not good, right?
it's not good.
Really a not good look. And more importantly, as you raise your children to, grow up to make, good decisions and I don't know, not be liars, you certainly can't look at Chuck Schumer and hold him, or any of the other people that you mentioned, and hold them up as examples of this is what you want to grow up to be, right? And so, for all of the hysteria that they have over Trump, one of the things he's been the most blunt about is being honest about his interactions with people, right? And part of the joke with Trump is that he says things with a wink, and then it has always been a swipe about politicians constantly lying, and Schumer then goes and serves them up exactly what Trump has been pointing out for over a decade.
Well, I mean, I know that the stories back in the day when Trump, would act as his own press agent and use a nom de plume and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, this is even even the T-Bone Corn Pop stuff. This is so next level. I mean, just this entire life that he has created, this narrative life that he's created around this couple that he says guides that. I mean, it's not like he's saying, you know, like that this is a middle American couple, or this is sort of a profile of an independent voter, or this is a couple I actually know, but I just changed the names to, you know, protect their identities. And so this is somebody I lean on that doesn't always agree with me, but it gives me a sense of the independent voter's mindset. None of that. He just talks about them like they are like his next door neighbors and good friends. And it is the stuff of M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about them with a familiarity that is, when you find out that they don't exist, it's deeply disturbing.
Yes, I
mean, it's profoundly disturbing. If your child did this in school, they would be going to see the psych ward.
Yeah.
Because it is given with such detail, like what the guy does, what she does, what their jobs are, where they go to church. I mean, that is, again, next level stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like a pre-adolescent, you say it's a phase they're going through, but it's hard to say that with a 75-year-old Senate minority leader, you know?
When he's been doing it for decades.
Yes, well, right.
It's like not like a one-off, right? And go home like, man, I should have done that. I am never doing that again.
Oh.
No, he has like no sense of remorse or regret, right? He just keeps repeating the lie. And that is an incredibly dangerous thing. Honestly, I admire the fact that he was able to keep the lie together so well. And really, you know, that is quite an imagination to be able to not only create these fictional people, but also not, you know, forget that he was an insurance salesman.
Yeah, insurance adjuster. Insurance
adjuster.
Yeah,
do we know how he found, like, how it was found out they don't exist? I missed that part.
I don't know. I mean, I had no, you know, it's not like I live and die with every pronouncement from Chuck Schumer. So yeah, as you said, and as John Oliver's segment provided the evidence, he's been talking about this couple for years, but he's been around for so long and he says the same things. I don't know. It just evaded me. So I don't know. I just really came upon the existence of these fictional people in Chuck Schumer's life because of the piece that John Oliver just did. So and it's wild. But I mean, talk about fodder, though, for political. You know, he's at a weak point right now in terms of his position, not in the Senate, much as a Senate minority leader. And talk about fodder for, you know, AOC or somebody that aspires for Chuck Schumer's seat.
Well, that's where I suspect the truth came out from, AOC.
Yeah.
Or someone trying to take him down, and someone that's probably a Democrat.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, the legacy media, for these many years, never thought to, you know, kick the tires on the Joe and Eileen Bailey that you're always talking about. Who are these people? Can we talk to them?
I mean, after the 9th reference, you would think someone would find them.
Right. I wanted to get your reaction to something that was said a couple of weeks ago. Just an incredible statement, particularly in light of your new book, Butler, about the, of course, near assassination attempt. This was Scott MacFarlane, who is a CBS reporter in scare quotes. He was on Chuck Todd's podcast, and this is what he had to say about his experience covering Butler on that fateful day.
For those of us there, it was such a horror because you saw an emerging America. And it wasn't the shooting, Chuck. I got diagnosed with PTSD within 48 hours. I got put on trauma leave. Not because I think of the shooting, but because you saw it in the eyes, the reaction of the people. They were coming for us. If he didn't jump up and exist, they were going to come kill us. I know.
No.
I know.
No, this is such a lie. And I'm going on Chuck Todd tomorrow, and I will make sure that I say that out loud.
Good.
Because this is not what happened. And if people read my book, which I hope they do, because it's more than just about that day, it's about what's happening in this country. But after the shooting, if people don't know, I was a few feet away from the president. The shots went right over my head. They went nowhere near the pressurizer, by the way. About an hour later, when they finally let me and my daughter out, she's a photojournalist, and we go back to where our car is, there are 50,000 people there. That means there were at least 15 to 20,000 cars there. Well, they hadn't moved for an hour. There's no one's blowing their horn, no one's screaming. In fact, people were singing, they were praying, they were helping each other out. People had coolers in the back of their vehicles. They were giving each other water if other people didn't have it. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, these are the people they call deplorable, extremists. And this is, I still get chills when I talk about that moment of coming over that hill where the parking lot was. And for him to say that is despicable.
Well, it is. Also, talk about navel gazing. The worst thing about what happened in Butler on that day was what happened to me.
Right.
Corey Compatore, right, exactly. Corey Compatore was murdered, and the worst thing that happened was your perception that there were some people in the crowd that were were coming for journalists, whatever that means, and you're describing how wrong-headed that was. And by the way, just a point of order, since you're going on Chuck Todd's podcast tomorrow, you heard Chuck Todd at the end agree with that assessment from McFarland that they were coming for the press.
Yeah, no, they weren't coming for the press. And I talked to people that had turned to the camera and had been angry. They weren't angry at the press. They were angry that this happened.
Yeah.
And they wanted people to know, in the same spirit that the president said, fight, 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 that we will not back down, that we will not let something bad happen to our country, and we will stand up to it. And for him to misinterpret it to be all about him is just shows how really whacked my profession is.
Well, right. And then those same people, Scott McFarland, Chuck Todd, will get on their high horse and decry characterizations of the D.C. press corps as the enemy of the people. Yet you unfairly demonize people, and then you are perplexed that they not only don't trust you, but they rebuke you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You just said it all. It's where the divide between my profession, which is largely in D.C. and New York. I'm in a small county in western Pennsylvania, is largely driven by the attitudes of the press who do not understand the people in the middle of the country that actually decide elections. No one in New York or D.C. has decided an election in over 150 years. D.C. never. New York, like maybe during McKinley and Roosevelt. But that's about the last time. Mm-hmm. So, that there is not a curiosity and an empathy towards the people and trying to understand who they are and what is important to them is just the underscore of all the divide in this country. It comes out from that.
And how do you think, that those middle American families that put Trump in the White House, helping Trump to break through the blue wall, how do you think they're receiving some of the sort of typical dynamics on some new issues, gerrymandering, violence? This isn't a new issue, but Trump's intervention in D.C. is, dealing with violence and big city disintegration, and Trump intervening where he can while making overtures to intervene where it's a little bit more complicated. How do people, do you think, see that when he's taking those particular action steps and they're just decrying everything he does as authoritarian and a threat to our democracy?
Well, that's the viewpoint of, again, the D.C. press. But you talk to people in the middle of the country, their viewpoint of going into cities, including, by the way, me in my own city of Pittsburgh, which is overrun with homelessness and vagrancy, and like many other cities, have these packs of children that go out and terrorize people, either stealing things or running through the city. It is while crime statistics may be down since COVID, that I think that number is often skewed because of the reporting system that now happens. But also I won't go into DC. I've been asked to do a couple of book events, and I'm like, no, I'm going to pass. Because I driving into the city by myself, the last time I drove into Philadelphia, I was surrounded by hundreds of motorcycles or some kind of bikes, and they just drove around and around and around my car at a intersection. So, I'm just incredibly uncomfortable, and I'm not exactly a fearful person. There is a belief that our cities are unsafe, and that's not created in a vacuum. That's created in the lawlessness that has been allowed to happen since the summer of love in 2020, and we have elected mayors that have been highly critical and non-supportive of their own police forces. So I think that Trump is, you want families to come from Peoria and go to Washington, D.C. You want them to experience our beautiful capital and all the institutions that have surrounded it. But they don't want to because there's a sense of unsafety. And so it's not the wrong thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's what people want.
Selena Zito's national political reporter. You can always get her writings at selenazito.com. Her last bestseller was The Great Revolt. You should pick that up, too. Her new book, Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. Selena, thanks so much, as always, and can't wait to see how that Chuck Todd podcast goes. I'm going to be looking for that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Selena. She joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
Join the fight against Charcot-Marie Tooth disease at the Cure CMT Golf Challenge. CMT is a genetic disorder causing muscle weakness and sensory loss, impacting daily life. There's no cure yet, but your support can change that. For $5,000, your foursome gets 18 holes at the stunning Merritt Club in Libertyville, Illinois on August 18th, plus lunch and dinner. Check in at 10:30 a.m. Help fund treatments and research. Visit cure-cmt.org to register today. Cure CMT Golf Challenge. Swing for a cure.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities
Securities, LLC. The Dinesh D'Souza Podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
Probably heard, but you don't have to take your shoes off anymore when you go to the airport. This really shows you how stupid government bureaucracy is. One guy takes off his shoes, everybody freaks out, and then for 20 years, all the airlines across the country make tens of millions of people actually pull their shoes off.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
A text on Chuck Schumer and his relationship with the Baileys. I'm picturing Chuck with a dollhouse in his office holding the Baileys in his hands, voicing conversations. Exactly. No, it is creepy, this invention of Joe and Eileen Bailey. I mean, I said M. Night Shyamalan, maybe it's more the fodder for a James Wan movie. Creepy. Weird. Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk dollars and cents with Stephen Moore, including some interesting data about the relative salaries of those who complete a college undergraduate degree versus those who complete a registered apprenticeship. Steve Moore, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump says Goldman Sachs should fire its chief economist after he warned that Americans will pay more thanks to Trump's tariffs. Trump took to Truth Social on Tuesday to tell CEO David Solomon, who also works as a DJ, that he should fire the economist or just focus on his second job. Trump defended his tariffs, arguing they've caused no inflation or problems for Americans. Some dispute that, saying there hasn't been enough time yet because some of the tariffs haven't kicked in yet, and it really hasn't hit Americans yet. So we'll see. 2 American-made cars are going out of production.
Ford Motor Company says 2 of its small SUVs, the Ford Escape and the Lincoln Corsair, will go out of production later this year. The company says the Kentucky plant where the 2 vehicles are built is being retooled to produce a new midsize electric pickup truck. The new EV truck is expected to hit the market in 2027 and cost around $30,000. Fans of the Escape and the Corsair, though, still have time to buy one. Ford says it has enough inventory on hand to sell the SUVs well into 2026. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is quickly delivered by Quick Delivery Service. For reliable same-day delivery, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick up your items and move them safely to their destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. Check the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings warns of misleading information.
The latest photo on the Time cover shows supposedly starving Palestinians holding out empty bowls. But an investigation into the photo found the photo was staged. I implore you to understand what you are seeing out of Gaza propaganda designed to hurt Israel and to prop up the real terrorists, which is Hamas.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned, integrity since 1981.
If you're getting divorced, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Marcy, 38, homemaker, no income, with 3 kids under 10, recently filed for divorce. Marcy's soon-to-be ex needed the equity out of their marital home to purchase a new home, so Marcy called Team Hochberg after being told by other lenders she couldn't refinance until the divorce was final. Wrong. I helped Marcy refinance with her parents co-signing because she didn't have a job and wasn't receiving child or spousal support. Let's review. Marcy needed to refinance her soon-to-be ex off the mortgage and give him half the home's equity to buy a home, and was told it couldn't be done. And I helped Marcy refinance. If you're getting divorced and want mortgage advice from a lender who can empathize with your situation, give us a call now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 22 minutes. Outbound is also about 22 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 32 minutes. Outbound is 23 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 27 minutes. Outbound is 21 minutes. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 83. On Friday, expect warm weather with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with periods of clouds and sun, followed by showers and thunderstorms at night. The high on Saturday will reach 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I brought you this story a few weeks back. All this talk about city-run grocery stores. BLM Brandon wanted to open one, promised to open one to address the food desert situation on the south and west side. Open some City of Chicago operated grocery store. Sounds like a good idea. Hasn't happened yet. Still working it up, I guess. And, of course, Mamdani in New York, the soon-to-be mayor of New York City, that he's made that part of his platform as well. But I mentioned there's real-world examples of this. It's been tried. No new ideas out there. Tried in Kansas City, a grocery store called Sunfresh that's operated by the city. The city spent $17 million to acquire and redevelop Sunfresh. Opened in 2018. Then a city-sponsored nonprofit took it over. Earlier this year, City Council approved an ordinance for the nonprofit to receive $161,000 in rent relief and $750,000 in expedited funding so it could remain open. And mentioned to some of the local reporting on this, these shelves were not exactly stocked. The ordinance also authorized the city attorney to pay $450,000 to settle claims between the city and the nonprofit that runs the grocery store. So, boy, that's a lot of city support after spending $18 million to acquire and redevelop it, and throwing bad money after bad money to try to keep it open. Well, now it's closed. It's closed, and some residents are understandably not happy with that.
I don't understand. We need this store. We do.
Alicia Batson shopped here on Monday and was going to come back here for groceries today. As soon as our interview was done, she started to cry. Part of the reason why she was so emotional may be because of what she told us in the first 30 seconds of our conversation.
What are we supposed to do as a community? Where am I going to go now? Where am I going to go get stuff for my kids?
While I appreciate the plight of that woman in Kansas City, this is a real opportunity for a bit of a lesson in economics, isn't it? For lessons in economics, we're pleased to be joined by our very own Henry Hazlitt. He is Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with the great Art Laffer. Steve, Kansas City-run grocery store didn't work out. What a surprise.
Well, look, I have a solution to this whole problem. It's really very simple. We can't have people going hungry in this country. Food should just be free.
Yeah,
just make it free.
Well, I agree. That would solve a lot of problems. Exactly.
They do. By the way, we've had a great experiment in the last 100 years in free grocery store. In government-run grocery stores, and that's called the Soviet Union. And the stuff was cheaper. You just had to wait an hour and a half in line to get your bread.
Yeah, if there was any left by the time the line, you wound your way through the line. I mean, the point here, too, is to say, well, what you'll hear from the left is, private businesses fail, too. Yeah, they do. Except when they fail, the damage is localized. It's not socialized. It's not borne by everybody who wasn't party to the deal in the first place. That's the issue.
Well, this is a really interesting point you're making because, as you know, I'm a huge supporter of school choice. Every parent in America, regardless of their skin color or income, should have a variety of choices where they send their kids to school, and that should include private schools. And so anytime a private school fails, and that happens sometimes, a private school starts up and then it doesn't make it, and so it fails. Aha, you see? Look at that school. It went out of business. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. You've got 30 schools, completely horrible schools in Chicago that don't teach anybody anything, and they should fail. They should go out of business, but only in government do we keep these schools open, even though they're completely failing the kids. So that's how the market works. If you succeed and you provide a service that the people want, you stay in business, and if you don't go out of business. The only thing that never goes out of business is government stores and government
although
because we keep giving more money.
Oh, in this case, even the lack of bottom line sensitivity, they still got tired of operating this dog, and apparently they couldn't keep the stock shelved, and they couldn't keep the residents satisfied, with few exceptions. But it's just you just wish there were people to intercede here and explain. Have a town hall, perhaps, and say, that there's a reason here, and to that woman who is, distraught over the grocery store closing. Yeah, the reason there's not a grocery store here is because of the people you support and the policies they implement. I mean, if you had a safe environment that was attractive to invest in, then there would be a store here.
the other irony of this whole story, and look, it is true that in a lot of inner cities there are food deserts. That's thanks to crime and thanks to the fact that they can't keep the neighborhoods, up. So the stores move out. But whenever, and some of these neighborhoods, like in D.C. where I live, they want to bring in a Safeway or they want to bring in a Whole Foods. Oh, no. That's going to drive our little corner grocery store out of business. We can't have that.
Right.
So we can't win with these people.
No, I mean that's what we have here. Walmart. They tried to keep the city council tried to keep Walmart out of Chicago forever. Finally, they were able to cut a deal to get them in. And then when Walmart's going to close a store, how dare you close a store? I mean it's just central planning. An interesting data point I wanted to get your reaction to, because may have some impact on changing minds and attitudes about liberal arts educations. Not that that's a bad thing, but the way it's practiced by most of these colleges, it's not a good thing. Anyway, the new DOJ information, Department of Labor information, and it's not the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I don't think, until at least the new guy EJ gets in there. But anyway, the average salary of a college graduate who completes an undergraduate degree, $69,000. An average salary of a person who completes a registered apprenticeship, $80,000. Interesting.
Yeah. Now, look, I mean, anybody with a skill in this country, we have about 7 million open jobs. The problem is these college graduates don't have the skills to fill these jobs. So go figure. You spend $200,000, you get a degree in sociology or psychology, and nobody wants to hire you. And so we need to have a system, maybe, I don't know how this would work, Dan, but where I believe incentives matter. That's why I'm an economist. So how about this system? Like, if the kids get a degree in, say, sociology, and then 5 years later they can't get a job, and they can't pay their student loan, the school should pay for that deficit, not the taxpayer.
Yeah.
What a concept. I mean, let's reward people and schools for giving out degrees and where you can actually get a job and not, And by the way, I have a liberal arts education myself. I don't know about you. You probably do too. I'm not against the liberal arts education, but we also need to give people, we just have something on our hotline today. The average eighth grader can't pass a civics test. They don't know anything about how our government works. They don't know anything about the founding of our country. Here we have, this is the 250th anniversary coming up, and most eighth graders have no idea.
Yeah, well, and partly because they're being taught by people like Brandon Johnson, who used to teach social studies in 7th grade. That's not helping any.
Well, that's another issue, Dan, social studies, when you and I were kids, we didn't have social studies. We had American history.
Yeah, right.
What is social studies?
I don't know. Yeah, well, it's right. It's all the sort of Howard Zinning of American education.
How those wonderful communities in Africa are doing. That's social studies.
I wanted to get your reaction as well to Trump suggesting that Goldman Sachs fire their chief economist over his predictions or his analysis that American consumers are going to start paying for tariffs. They're having a bit of an inflationary impact.
Yeah, listen, I don't like that when Trump intervenes in these kinds of things. I think it's a bad idea, and so that makes me nervous. But I'm familiar with that study, by the way, and I don't agree with the findings of the study. By the way, it's Goldman Sachs; they always get things wrong. But we don't want the government. We don't want the president telling private companies what they can say and what they can't say.
Something else. This litigation or investigation and potential litigation that's afoot in Florida, and also Chris Kobach in Kansas too. Looking at these climate lawfare groups, the climate cartel, as it's being called, the Climate Disclosure Project, the Science-Based Targets Initiative, and looking at how they are essentially conspiring with private companies to dummy up climate-related and pollution-related data for the purposes of hamstringing the energy sector in this country, basically.
Yeah, this is happening throughout the country. I don't know. Well, first of all, this has been a big cabal. And it's been, look, I've said this so many times on your show that what climate change really is, the green and climate change is not about the environment. It's about money. This is all about money, folks. And one of the biggest industries in America over the last 25 years has been the climate change industrial complex. This is a multi-hundred billion dollar industry. They don't want it to go away. They want that money to keep flowing. This money has nothing to do with changing the temperature of the planet. It's all about feeding this ecosystem that we've built up of people making a lot of money off of these scare tactics. And this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, the Uthmeyer, the Attorney General in Florida, the investigation he's doing will examine deceptive trade practices and possible coordination between these climate change nonprofits, C4s, and financial services companies that could amount to market manipulation. And so, I mean, there may be some consumer fraud, anti-competitive practices, civil action taken against some of these, these climate lawfare, climate cartel, as it's being called, groups, which is the investigation is certainly welcome.
Look, the conspiracy that's going on is that, and by the way, I think Illinois is probably one of these of all sorts of renewable energy requirements in your energy portfolios. I believe that's true. I think Illinois is one of those swing states that has these. Here, states like Illinois, New Jersey, New York, California require utilities to use up as much as 50% of their energy has to come from windmills and solar power. You guys pay twice as much for your utility bills. Did you know that? I live in Maryland. We just got our utility bill, Dan. We paid $1,000 last month because of these stupid renewable energy standards. We should be paying about half of that amount. So the wind and solar is so expensive. People go, oh, I love wind and solar. Do you like paying through the roof for your energy bill? I don't.
Well, I mean, another issue that you associated with this that I read about in your Unleash Prosperity newsletter is, smart grid. This sort of technological advancement, smart grid. It sounds wonderful until you get like World Economic Forum types and positions of authority. You talked about the CEO of the California utility, PG&E.
Yep. This is a scary story. I mean, this is Orwellian. I didn't believe it checks out that this woman, the utilities in California, saying this is going to be a great future because pretty soon with the smart grid, we're going to be able to find. Oh, there's where Dan lives. Hey, he's got his temperature in his house at 68, 72 degrees. We're going to thermostat down a little bit. Hey, Dan's using his air conditioner too much today. We're gonna have to turn that off. You think I'm joking? I'm not, folks. This is the Orwellian future of these climate change people. They want to regulate the temperature of your house and tell you when you can and can't use your air conditioner.
From Central Command,
but it's to save the planet. We're saving the planet here.
The good news is. Your energy bill will go down when they don't provide you any power. So you have that to look forward to.
Well, I've said many times on your show, and I'll say it again that folks, if you want to be protected from these wackos, you better have a generator in your house because the electricity is going to go out if these people continue to run our grid system.
Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle. Stephen, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Okay. See you, Dan.
See you. Annie joins us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160, Hope for Your Life.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here, just following up on my reference to BLM Brandon being a social studies teacher. In our conversation with Steve Moore, I'm referencing this from yesterday, BLM Brandon wagging his finger in the direction of the White House because, he understands the Constitution. He's an educator, and Trump doesn't.
You talk about incompetence. Look, I taught 7th grade. In Chicago, 7th graders have to pass the Constitution. I taught it. This president could use a 7th grade class right now to understand the basics of the Constitution.
And I said earlier in the program, hard to see them passing a Constitution test when only 1 in 3 CPS students, less than 1 in 3 actually, can read at grade level. But I've got some good news on that front. The State Board of Education is meeting today to vote on new performance levels and proficiency cut scores when it comes to standardized tests. The assessment of readiness for grades 3 through 8, and the Illinois Science assessment for grades 5, 8, and 11, as well as the ACT. So what they want to do is demonstrate English language arts and math proficiency. They want those scores lowered. Well, there you go. You don't have enough people reading or doing math at grade level. There's an easy fix. Lower the threshold to be deemed reading and doing math at grade level. Okay. Another problem solved. BLM Brandon, Jelly Belly, they're on the job. And Trump calls them incompetent. The hell you say. Coming up at 8:08, this will be fun. We're going to talk to the founder of Marco Polo, the official record of the Biden hillbilly crime family. His real name is Garrett Ziegler, and he is from Effingham County, actually. He'll join us to talk all things Biden crime family, specifically Baby Boy Hunter at 8:08. It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A meeting about the meeting. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump's supposed to be on a call this hour with European leaders getting their input ahead of Friday's Trump-Putin summit when the president will try to get Russia's leader to stop the war in Ukraine. Fox's Mark Meredith reports from the White House.
They want to ensure that there are future security guarantees for Kyiv, and they want to make sure they have a better idea of what may lay ahead after this first meeting in Alaska. Russia has made significant advances in Ukraine, especially in the country's western regions, but Kyiv and other cities remain under Ukrainian control. Ukraine's leader posted this before heading to Germany. He said, "We all support Trump's determination, and together we must shape positions that will not allow Russia to deceive the world once again."
Now, President Trump is also expected to talk to Volodymyr Zelensky today. He says the U.S. and Russia can't make a deal for Ukraine without Ukraine involved. Speaking of European leaders, British, French, and German diplomats are threatening to reimpose sanctions on Iran as a deadline looms at the end of the month to resume nuclear negotiations and cooperate with UN inspectors. This follows the Israeli and U.S. military strikes that hit and damaged Iran's nuclear facilities and missile launchers back in June to try to prevent Iran from building weapons. National Guard troops are out on the streets of Washington this morning after being deployed along with federal agents and President Trump's crackdown on crime.
FBI Director Kash Patel says his agency teamed up with local cops to make 10 arrests. That included a search warrant for a murder charge, various gun violations, warrants for DUI, and an arrest for violating a restraining order. Democrats still challenge the need for help in D.C. Under the law, the feds can help patrol Washington for a month. After that, Congress must approve an extension.
That's Fox's Chad Pergram at the Capitol. D.C. leaders say violent crime is actually at a 30-year low from last year. In the president's push for mass deportations, the town of Mason, Tennessee's approved a plan to turn a former prison into an illegal immigration detention facility, though some residents loudly objected at a town meeting that got contentious. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Johnson is reaching a tentative agreement with Chicago's rank-and-file firefighters union. The mayor announced the agreement with the Chicago Firefighters Union Local 2 yesterday, ending 4 years of negotiations.
Part of the agreement would include, and we've budgeted for, back pay, and there are some other elements within the tentative agreement that I believe places us in a stronger position to build a safe and affordable big city.
The deal must still be approved by union members and the city council. The contract includes hundreds of millions of dollars in retroactive pay. There is flooding being reported throughout the Chicago area after heavy rains hit the region. Yesterday's storms brought heavy downpours, causing isolated flooding throughout the region, including Chicago. Flights were delayed at O'Hare and Midway airports, and ComEd reported scattered power outages. Chicago Public Schools officials are still figuring out how to solve their budget crisis. CPS leaders met yesterday with Mayor Johnson's office as well as Chicago Teachers Union officials to discuss ways to fill CPS's $734 million budget deficit. Some options include taking out a $200 million loan and asking for new state revenue, while accepting responsibility for a controversial $175 million pension payment. The district must present a balanced budget to the school board today. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
On Wall Street, futures are in the green, with investors bullish on hopes of a Fed rate cut in September after the Labor Department's latest consumer price index showed inflation held steady in July. Shares of Cava are down sharply in the pre-market as the Mediterranean fast casual restaurant trims its full-year same-store sales outlook as consumers deal with what its chief executive calls a fog over the economy. And U.S. undergarments giant Hanesbrand has agreed to a multi-billion-dollar deal with Canada's Gildan Activewear. The Montreal-based company is buying Hanesbrand for $2.2 billion in a deal that gives the basic apparel maker access to brands including Hanes and Maidenform. The companies put the transaction's value at about $4.4 billion when including debt. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by MyVirago.com.
Okay, this basement is unreal. You've got a bar, theater seats. What is this place?
This is my escape. Forever Remodeling custom designed the whole thing. Not 1 square foot is wasted.
Man, mine still has a treadmill and a folding table.
Their designers asked a ton of questions. I wanted the ultimate game day setup. They delivered. Bar, big screen, sound that shakes the walls.
Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker on AM 560, The Answer, host of formerly Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker, now the co-host of the Scott and Amy Show. And it's every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. Amy Jacobson, it's going to be great to have you back on the air.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've missed our listeners. I missed the station. Still love it. Can't wait to connect with all of you once again and to learn more about Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker.
So tune into the Scott and Amy Show this Sunday morning at 8 a.m.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 16 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 31 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 38 minutes. Outbound is about 32 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 42 minutes. Outbound is about 33 minutes. And on the Dam Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 24 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Friday will be warm with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with a mix of clouds and sunshine with showers and thunderstorms possible at night and a high of 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and this is going to be fun because it gives us a chance to revisit some recent commentaries from one Hunter Biden, you know, the smartest man that Joe Biden knows, baby boy Hunter. He has taken to, he's taken a liking to a particular doofus podcaster that allows him to hold court and basically MF anybody that he feels has slighted him or his father, the big guy, you remember. We've been enjoying these for weeks now, as well as his just sort of musings on, issues of public health, immigration policy. On the public health score, you know, he's a crack cocaine enthusiast, right?
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all.
Public safety, public service announcement there on pro-crack public service announcement, which is helpful for the kids out there. Hunter Biden knowing a thing or two about science, in addition to the oil and gas industry, in addition to law. He's currently, we found out recently, working at some nonprofit to represent people in this country illegally against landlords who would evict them. So he's continuing to doing the Lord's work and still leaving time for his artistic endeavors like his paintings. And please, please don't suggest that there was anything nefarious afoot with Hunter Biden's blow art and Chinese communists and other interested parties that were trying to buy influence from the big guy.
I literally sat in the garage by virtue of my choice and my desire and painted for 3 years. And then they accused me of crimes for painting. What do you mean? Well, that I couldn't sell my paint, that it was a clear conspiracy to launder money and to curry influence by selling acrylic on canvas abstract painting by Hunter Biden. All of a sudden, the Iranians are going to change their nuclear weapons program. I mean, it's such insane bullshit.
Yeah. No, I mean, the blow art was so groundbreaking that you had, seasoned art collectors from the world over wanting to gladly paying between $75,000 to $500,000 for Hunter Biden's blow art. And someone would think anything that is untoward about that. Didn't he prove himself on the board of Burisma?
100%. I had an organization that was willing to pay me for a service that I was 100% qualified to do. I went to Yale Law School. I served on dozens of boards before this. I was an expert in corporate governance. I have a encyclopedic knowledge of the region. I had served on a major infrastructure company's board and had done work in global aid relief throughout the entire world and had an enormous list of connections of my own. And I was qualified to be on that board. And it gave me the freedom at a time when I really needed the freedom to be with my family, to focus on my brother's health. And I chose to do it. And I was transparent about it. And I did it.
And then to focus on his brother's widow. But I digress. For more on the topic, speaking of experts, this gentleman literally called as an expert witness on Hunter Biden in the context of a child support case between that young lady in Arkansas and Hunter Biden. He is Garrett Ziegler. He's the founder of Marco Polo. You can get all of the Marco Polo revelations at Marco Polo 501c3. Because it's a nonprofit. Marco Polo 501c3.substack.com. Of course, people remember the infamous Marco Polo compendium of all things Hunter Biden and detailing by Marco Polo's determination, hundreds of prosecutable crimes committed by baby boy Hunter. Garrett Ziegler, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. And as you know, this is one of my few beats, and the last couple of minutes have been thoroughly enjoyable because I don't think I've heard, and I'm usually not a flattering type, but I don't think I've heard such a delicious, facetious smackdown of this man-child. I mean, we're talking about Hunter turns 56 in February.
Baby boy.
In his nasally voice, the constant victimhood. I mean, the only thing I can add to that beautiful monologue is that this is as close to as a normal American citizen is going to get to realizing what a 17th century royal was like. You know, we haven't lived through absolute power in this country and, you know, divine right of kings and all that jazz. So it's sometimes hard for us to conceive, you know, how these people who lived in these English country homes acted. And I think Hunter Biden is as close as we're going to get. I mean, the delusion is off the scale. I love that you mentioned his podcaster friend, Andrew Callaghan. I want everybody to go look at his Instagram page because it will sober them up very quickly. There are people in this country who truly believe that what Andrew did was a service, that he just let him talk. I have no problem with lob ball questions and everything if they presented as such. If Andrew came up to the mic and said, you know what, this is my friend, I'm not going to interrupt him, you know, and you need to watch this through the lens of this being my friend. But no, Andrew presents himself as an unbiased arbiter of fact, and he's never pushed back on anything Hunter said through 6 hours of talking.
No, you're right. It was rather remarkable. But by the same token, I mean, as I really started to warm up to Hunter, and I'll tell you why. Because I could listen to him, as I said, MF, George Clooney, and the Pod Save America, Soy Boys. I mean, I could listen to that all day. That's kind of fun to listen to that sort of infighting and that score settling, which I presume is one of the reasons Hunter Biden did the podcast.
I agree. I think about 15% of that first 3 hour tranche in I think it was released on July 21st. I think 15% of that was dead on. And that's what's so ridiculous about Hunter's lawsuit against me and his sugar brother Kevin Morris's, is that they're so blinded by hatred of me and my little group Marco Polo that they don't realize that we've called balls and strikes. When Hunter has said something that's true, I mean, it's obvious that George Clooney has an outsized role in the funding and organization of the Democrat Party. That is a joke. That is like degenerate ancient Greece where the actors have a say in the polis. It's like, it's the only time I've really agreed with Hunter, right? Like, what does George Clooney know? George Clooney, back in ancient Greece, the actors were looked at in their proper role as sort of, you know, they were cartoons. Their job was to act. Like, in what way are we now looking at Clooney for wisdom about governance? It's a joke. I wanted to just, you know, you've done so much on this. I mean, and by the way, just for people who forget, go to the Substack. You can read it all there. I mean, I got a hard copy. It's back in the Wonderful.
day. It feels like it's about 15 pounds. And Senator Ron Johnson has referenced your report and your investigative work, as have others, in terms of like the definitive record. But everything that's come out about the Biden family to date and all of the machinations, concluding with the blanket pardons, is there anything you think that has been understated or is underappreciated in terms of knowledge about this hillbilly crime family from Wilmington? Well, I think that there has been a ton written on the Ukrainian connection. And if I'm being fair, I don't think anybody's done a better job than Senator Grassley's folks. His investigators wrote the definitive account in 2020 about the Ukrainian shakedown. The two things that our book does
that I don't think any other source does is go into the Romanian angle and the Mexican angle. Both of those second world nations were shook down by Hunter, and they were shook down because Joe was the point person for that country. So, and in fact, the limited hangout prosecutors in Hunter's federal cases were planning, if he didn't plead guilty on the first day of trial, to call the Romanian tycoon who's since been in hiding in London, called Gabriel Popoviciu. They were going to call him as a witness. So the Bidens did the same thing in Ukraine, although to a lesser scale, in Romania. So there are multiple countries, because impeachment scam number one happened with Ukraine, the public's mind is automatically and understandably geared towards that Ukrainian angle, just because it's so blatant, and now there's this war that we've dumped $100 billion into. But the Romanian angle is just as disgusting. It's the same MO. You have a real estate tycoon. You have an oligarch. That oligarch gets in trouble through some sinful act. Hunter is called in to strong-arm the U.S. government to go easy on him. And that's what Hunter did, and he made $1 million from it. And Rob Walker, this is in answer to your question, the fact that Rob Walker and all these other, I won't even call them tertiary, these other secondary figures weren't indicted, that explains the injustice just as much as Hunter's pardon, because this was a syndicate. Hunter is a lazy person. With his laptop, we know what he did all day. He didn't do anything. His idea of work was sending an email intro and a couple of phone calls. A 45-year-old male. It's pathetic. All these other people on the side, they actually did exert effort. They were the ones creating the slide decks, doing the visa paperwork. Folks like Rob Walker, I have no problem. Our report only goes on what we have paper for. We don't extrapolate at all. It's actually very conservatively written. And we have Rob Walker on at least a dozen felonies, ranging from money laundering, FARA violations. These are clear-cut. People every single year are charged for much less. So that's how I'd answer your question, that these other figures like Rob Walker from Little Rock, Arkansas, who made his way through the Clinton syndicate. He's known Bill Clinton since the 90s. Those folks aren't as guilty as Hunter because they wouldn't have had – everything was possible because of Joe's position. So Joe is the head of that snake. I don't think Joe is the head of the ultimate snake, obviously. I think that's Obama, and there's even people above, and that's what we really got to know through the laptop contents, is that Joe was their perfect front man. He's the perfect guy to install and that's what we all saw in July 21st, 2024, where Joe releases that note on Twitter that he didn't even write, that he's not running anymore. If anybody needs proof that he was a puppet, there's your proof. He didn't want to get out, and yet his ventriloquist masters pulled the strings and got him out. Well, so he was never truly in charge.
I want to go back to Rob Walker. I don't remember Rob Walker getting a blanket pardon and a prospective one.
He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. He's one of the few that got left out. They really focused it on not my phrase, their phrase, Biden blood.
Yeah, right.
They focused it on Biden blood and the J6 scammers.
Well, with respect to Walker, though, if he has legal exposure, this should be an area of investigation for, I don't know, perhaps another Bondi strike force, because even if you can't claw back and get any of the Bidens for the various alleged crimes that you document, then you get Rob Walker, and you get Rob Walker as a condition of any sort of deal to sing and to lay it all out, even if you can't go after any of those principles.
I totally agree. And we have sent all this information. I actually had a meeting with somebody in the Arkansas Attorney General's office, because some of these
state level
have longer. Yes, some of these some of these states have longer statute of limitations, and their statutes are written and their statutes aren't the exact same as the federal, and they're even more expansive. But the truly, I don't want to say sobering again, but the truly sobering thing is that these state AGs, most of them, if not all, are Republicans. They don't want to touch this. This is kryptonite to them. I don't know why, other than just sheer cowardice.
Yeah.
But there are multiple actionable, and one thing people don't always remember is Hunter's banking relationships all flew through Arkansas. His financial advisor, Edward Pruitt, was, along with Walker, a political appointee in the Clinton administration. And when the Clinton administration got done in 2001, Edward Pruitt moved back to first Fayetteville and then Little Rock and then back to Fayetteville and set up shop. He ran a Wells Fargo brokerage for 20 years, and Hunter Bank, his financial advisor, was there. So what does this mean? That means every single wire transfer that went through Wells Fargo, that went through Hunter's financial advisor, has jurisdiction in Arkansas. They touched Arkansas wires. I mean, we're not even getting into difficult jurisdiction questions, which I appreciate because I actually love the Sixth Amendment. That's what's so funny is that I have a lot of sympathy towards defendants in the Sixth Amendment. It's just so clear cut. I mean, they were just so obviously committing crimes. And if you don't believe us, why the 10-year pardons at the end of the term?
Well, right. I mean, refresh our recollection. You mentioned the Romanian gambit, which didn't get as much attention. The play in Mexico.
Hunter was very close with two oligarchs there. One of them was like Hunter, a relative of a former president. He was the grandson of the first president of Mexico from this corrupt political party called the PRI party. His name's Miguel Alemán Magnani, and ironically, this guy's on the lam. He's wanted for multi-million peso tax fraud, and he's currently residing in France because his mother was Miss Universe, and there is a very difficult extradition process between France and Mexico. Can't make it up.
You can't make it up.
An article written in the Daily Wire, a great piece by Luke Rosiak in 2022 about the treatment of Alemán Magnani vis-a-vis Hunter. Whereas they're really going after this guy. He ran a low-cost airliner, and the PRI party's no longer in power. That's partly why he got prosecuted. If the PRI party was still running things like Peña Nieto, they probably wouldn't have charged him. But that's one of the oligarchs that he was doing business with. That is the man who was the receiver of that hilarious and pathetic email that Hunter sent while he was on Air Force Two, lamenting the fact that he had, quote, done every single effing thing that he'd ever asked him to and got him every visitor to the White House, and Magnani wouldn't return his emails anymore. Hilarious supplication from a grown man, basically opening his kimono and saying in unencrypted email how he'd done favors for foreign oligarchs. That's oligarch number one. But the second one is more well known. Magnani is very well known in Mexico because he's from this political family. But the one that everybody knows, and he was the richest man in the world for a couple of years, is Carlos Slim.
Yeah.
Carlos Slim, everybody knows that he owns 25% of the New York Times. That guy had multiple meetings with Joe directly, in person and over the phone, and at the VP's house, one naval observatory, and there were multiple deals that Hunter tried to broker where Joe was on the line. These are clear FARA violations. These are, in fact, Bob Menendez, who reported to prison in June, one of the worst senators in U.S. history, in my opinion, from New Jersey. He was convicted, the first man to be convicted of 18 U.S.C. Section 219, which is acting as an unregistered agent for a foreign principal while you're in government. That is essentially what Joe did. That's one of the 6 crimes we allege that Joe committed. We're very fair. Joe is such a baby boomer that he didn't put a lot in writing. Hunter put everything in writing, but Joe preferred things over the phone, like the mafia bosses of the 80s.
Yeah.
where they're trying, the pizza parlor crackdown with Rudy, they sometimes had to tap the assistant's phone to get anything. So Joe was acting as an unregistered agent for his son's business dealings with Carlos Slim. I'll be very specific, one of the deals they wanted to do had to do with the state-owned oil company called Pemex. Pemex is a notoriously corrupt. If you ask any Mexican on the street of Oaxaca what Pemex is, they know what it is. It is the piggy bank that cronies have been tapping into for 3 decades. It is the state-owned oil company, and they wanted Pemex to go into partnership with Burisma.
Oh, sure. Match made in heaven.
The Cypriot domiciled joke of a company.
Yeah.
And Joe was on calls. So
sure, get on both. Why not get on both ends of the deal, right?
Yeah. Well, they are one thing that Hunter, because we have to be fair, Hunter is extremely talented in a couple of ways. One of them is, and I say this in the most age appropriate way, he is one of the best men I've ever seen at finding the government teat. It's sort of like if you've ever been in a barn. I come from a farming family. If you've ever been in a barn when a pig has a new litter of piglets, some of the piglets can't find their mother's teat very well. And your job as a person skilled in animal husbandry is to lead the piglet to the mother's teat so that she can be taken care of, so the little piglet doesn't die.
Yeah.
There's even a figure of speech about this, like, oh, you got the hind tit, right? 'Cause that is what Hunter is very.
Hunter's an impresario. Yeah, he's a natural. Yeah.
Yes, he is that piglet who, Hunter beats out his 10 sibling piglets at finding the huge sow that is the U.S. government, and in establishing his position as suckling from the government teat.
That is a vivid.
I will give him.
That's a vivid metaphor. I like it.
Grok can even probably image create that.
Yeah, probably right. Before we let you go, I do want to ask you about Kevin Morris, Hunter's attorney. You saw him side by side with Hunter.
Come on again and talk about him.
Yeah, but I mean, just quickly, one interesting thing I saw you post about was right now South Park is ridiculing, doing satirical work in the direction of Trump and Kristi Noem and others, and it's just interesting, which is fine. You should
agree.
Parody all politicians, but it is interesting. Kevin Morris, Hunter Biden's confidant and attorney, you suggest there's a reason South Park never parodied a family that is such a wonderful target for satire and parody, but the Bidens never got the South Park treatment. Why?
They did not. And I love that you mentioned that we're not opposed axiomatically to any parody of Trump. Is a very caricaturable person. And because we're thick-skinned and what I would consider right-thinking, we have no problem. We just don't like hypocrisy, and that's what the South Park creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, are. They're hypocrites. They did not want to upset Daddy, and Daddy to them is Kevin Morris. Kevin Morris has known them since the 90s. He has brokered every big deal they've ever struck. Kevin Morris was at the forefront of their Comedy Central deal, whereby they get 50% of all ad revenue. It was unheard of in Hollywood at the time, and still is, quite frankly. That's why they got the 1.5 from Paramount. Kevin Morris is their attorney. He doesn't practice in public court. You're not going to see Kevin Morris listed as a counsel of record in the federal courts. He is a deal maker, and he knows a lot of corrupt people in Hollywood. And so the guy who bailed Hunter out gave him at least, this is a floor, not a ceiling, at least $7 million. The guy who has paid Hunter's rent for 4+ years. Hunter can't live on his own. Why? Hunter's above just renting out a cabin in Montana. Those are for normal hoi polloi people. Hunter gets a beachside estate in Malibu and sends Kevin the bill. But Kevin is basically brothers to the creators of South Park. So, like you said, what God himself couldn't make a better family to parody than the Bidens. What rich material in Hunter and Joe, and yet not a single time. And one more connection that not a lot of people on our tweet got a lot of traction, because this is the only thing that explains it. I mean, set aside even the what's that phrase that Hunter used in his interview about the simplest explanation always being, or not,
Occam's razor or something?
Yes, Occam's razor. He always likes to say that. Set that aside. There's nothing else that explains their kid glove treatment of Hunter and Joe, considering how deliciously pathetic both of them are in their personal lives. One more thing. Hunter, did you know that Hunter Biden is a grandpa now? Did you know that? Somebody in this world's calling Hunter Biden grandpa. Hilarious. His oldest daughter, who had the kid, Naomi, the one who caused him to get a shotgun marriage to Kathleen, who, by the way, is from Chicago. There's a lot of Chicago connections in our book. I'm going to shill our book for a second. Go look at our book, BidenReport.com. Hunter's first wife is from Chicago. Her best friend, Naomi's best friend, was an executive producer at Saturday Night Live for the entirety of Joe's term. So if you're wondering why South Park and Saturday Night Live didn't start making fun of Joe in earnest until he dropped out. But for the entirety of that term, one of Naomi's best friends who went to prep school with her at Sidwell Friends was an executive producer at Saturday Night Live. So that's why we got no good comedy from all these established entities.
And Sidwell Friends, where the Clintons went as well. And the Obama kids, too, I think, didn't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
This is rich stuff. This is great. Garrett Ziegler is the founder of Marco Polo. Marco Polo 501c3.substack.com. And as you heard him say, the book, BidenReport.com. Garrett Ziegler, Effingham County's very own. Garrett, thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you for the opportunity. God bless you. Bye-bye.
And Garrett joined us in the Turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up at 8:38, we'll profile this golf outing that you've been hearing about at Merit Club up in Libertyville. That is coming up this Monday. I will be a combatant. 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Vladimir Putin will be the first Russian leader to visit Alaska when he meets with President Trump in Anchorage this week.
Trump and Putin will hold their summit Friday at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, a giant military base with over 30,000 residents that includes both Elmendorf Air Force Base and Fort Richardson Army Base. Alaska also plays a part in Russian history. The U.S. purchased the Alaskan territory from Russia over 150 years ago. At Friday's summit, Trump and Putin will discuss ending Russia's war in Ukraine, which Trump has said may include swapping some territory. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Department of Energy says it selected 11 companies for a pilot program to develop small, high-tech nuclear reactors.
The DOE said Tuesday it wants the firms to start testing the reactors so they could get at least 3 of them operating in less than a year. The small reactors are being developed to help meet the high energy demand of artificial intelligence and data centers. In May, President Trump signed executive orders to speed up permits for nuclear reactors and to allow the Energy Department to authorize them without the approval of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is seeing an unraveling.
But everywhere you turn, you look around in every direction, Democrats are imploding. In Texas, they've fled the state. In New York, Elizabeth Warren is embracing communism with Mamdani. She's all in. I mean, everywhere you turn, the Democrats are coming apart at the seams.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
Their licensed public Adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-289-7203. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-289-7203. 800-289-7203. 800-289-7203.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
From the Tim Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 16 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 31 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 38 minutes. Outbound is about 32 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 42 minutes. Outbound is about 33 minutes. And on the Dam Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 24 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com sells custom blind shades and shutters at low prices. Their blinds are handcrafted to fit your window, and if they don't for any reason, they'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 84. Tonight will be clear with a low of 66. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 83. On Friday, expect warm weather with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 89. Saturday will be hot with periods of clouds and sun, followed by showers and thunderstorms at night. The high on Saturday will reach 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You've heard advertisements last couple weeks for this golf outing that is up at Mare Club in Libertyville this coming Monday, August 18th. 12:30 shotgun. Lunch before, dinner after. Anyway, it's for an organization that I got involved with because my friend Pat Livney, who is the founder of the organization, is a sufferer of this disease called CMT, which affects like 1 in 2,500 people. And I really didn't know anything about it until I became friends with Pat. And he really opened my eyes to it about the prevalence of it. It doesn't have the profile that other neurological disorders like MS have, and it's different. but just to provide some sort of comparison contrast to diseases that are more familiar to people. And so I'm co-chairing this golf outing on Monday, and I thought it's a good opportunity not only to pitch the golf outing, but also for people to learn a little bit more about this affliction. You probably know somebody that has exposure to it if someone immediately in a friend or a family member doesn't have it. It's amazing, actually, the number of people that I've run into now, just as your circle widens, that are connected to this disease in some material way. And so for more on it, please be joined by Pat Livney. Cure CMT is the organization, cure-cmt.org. And again, the golf outing is at the Scenic Merit Club in Libertyville this Monday. Pat, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Well, so let's just get some baselines here in terms of what CMT is. I mentioned the prevalence, but provide some more color on that as well, and what the organization is attempting to do.
Sure. CMT, or Charcot-Marie Tooth disease, named after three doctors back in the late 1800s. And that was when it was first described. Actually, in 1991, the first gene was proven to be causing the most prevalent type of CMT. It is a peripheral nerve disease. It's progressive. It's genetic, meaning it knows no boundaries between sex or demographics, etc. If you will, it's non-racist, Dan, to put it that way. It affects anyone and everyone if there's a mutation in your gene. And what it does, there's two types, two main types. One, if you picture a copper wire, where the copper is the nerve or the axon, and the plastic coating around that wire would be the myelin sheath, or a protective coating around your nerve. The most prevalent type of mutation affects the myelin sheath, disrupting signals to the neuron, slowing down signals, and really deteriorating eventually the axon. Why is that important? Without nerves in your body, you have muscles, so your muscles atrophy. The other type is mutations that affect the axon directly or the nerve directly, and with the same consequence, loss of signals as well as atrophy. It affects the hands, the feet, the legs, the arms. It's the peripheral nerve disease.
And I mean, just your own experience. I mean, you're in your 60s now, but when this was first diagnosed when you were young, what was the prognosis for you?
Great question, because I actually think that prognosis fashioned my cynicism and also my search for a treatment or a first treatment here. At 16, I was very athletic on some state teams, et cetera, and I was diagnosed with a disease no one even heard of. I was told I'd be in a wheelchair by 30, Dan. I'll give them slack because they didn't even know at that time in 79, 80 that it was genetic. So from the standpoint of what they know about it versus then and now is incredible. The first gene, as I said, was proven to be in 1991. We're at 110 genes or mutations in those genes that cause the various types of CMT at this point. The reason, in my opinion, that people don't know too much about it is it's not considered a quote-unquote death disease. So the focus from the standpoint of how we look at our healthcare system surrounds a lot of the death diseases versus something that's progressive, although very debilitating.
Yeah, I mean, speak to the debilitation that afflicts some. I mean, you mentioned wheelchairs, so some people do end up in wheelchairs and are otherwise sort of unable to get around without assistance.
Yeah, from that standpoint, many end up in a wheelchair. The only thing that can help CMT patients at this point in time are bracing or surgery. There is no pill at this point in time. I often tell people MS has some cocktails that can lead to a quality of life that's normal, and makes me jealous from one standpoint. But we have none of that in CMT.
And you said it's progressive too, in terms of, in terms of when you say that, you mean deterioration. The deterioration is progressive, so it gets worse as it goes, untreated, as it were.
Correct. And whether you're diagnosed at 2 or in your mid-40s, depending on the type of CMT, the manifestation in CMT patients can differ and vary as well. So I'd say the prevalence is to me is probably understated. The prevalence study was done in the 70s in one country, in Scandinavia. And I know families with 40 people that have CMT, some in wheelchairs, some not, but only 2 or 3 have been formally diagnosed. So it's very underreported. The most common inherited form of peripheral neuropathy.
And the interesting thing is, you say it's genetic, and yet it afflicts people at various ages. We have a mutual friend who just recently got diagnosed with CMT, like in the last couple of years, and he's in his 70s.
Correct. That form of CMT can manifest in 3 different ways: early onset, middle onset, or late onset. Fortunately for him, it was late, although it is debilitating and affects obviously mobility, how you walk, exaggerated foot drop, etc.
Mm-hmm. And so Cure CMT, the organization you founded, is doing the bracing, addressing the bracing opportunity, and what else? I mean, I know there's interest in developing a treatment, if not a cure.
Yeah, listen, I'm a firm believer that because people get CMT, it's not because they've done something nefarious. They're not taking drugs. They're not over drinking. They're not doing something to harm themselves. It's genetic. And so the whole premise of Cure CMT is to make sure that everyone gets access to bracing, in severe cases, surgery, to improve their quality of life and mobility. Dan, if you can't move and you become sedentary, that's not healthy for anyone from that standpoint. And then the other thing is a passion of mine in trying to find or be part of the first treatment or cure for one type of CMT. And I've been on that search for the better part of 17 years now. And it's amazing what's happened in those years, from a white sheet of paper to over 30 pharma companies now involved in trying to find that first treatment. So we are investing in promising technologies, whether it's gene therapy that is being pursued, or RNA treatments, et cetera. We are finding the biopharmas and the small companies with technologies that can accelerate that first treatment.
And I know this is sort of an imponderable, but how optimistic are you that there'll be a first treatment that could actually go to human trials, in your lifetime, let's say?
You know what? It's a great question, and I think we've broken that glass ceiling recently. We actually have 5 companies in various phases of human clinical trials, and dozens more in preclinical. So the focus has really come about in a big way over the last 5 years, I would say. Dan. And so I'm very hopeful. What type of CMT will be treated first? Then the odds are CMT1A, which is the myelin the overproduction of a gene that disrupts the myelin. But I'm not sure that that's the case at all. So from my standpoint, any CMT that'll be treated will lift the boats of all the other types of CMT.
Pat Livney is the founder of Cure CMT, cure-cmt.org. We got a golf outing that I'm co-chairing on Monday, August 18th at the Merit Club in Libertyville. A couple of foursomes still available. Great course, great time. It will be a great time and a great cause, as you heard, trying to find a treatment for people that have this often debilitating disease. It's not so debilitating for Pat because he's just too stubborn to be debilitated. So he'll be out playing as well. Cure-cmt.org/golf outing if you want to join us this coming Monday, the 18th at the Merit Club. Pat, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time in focusing and putting a spotlight on Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, Dan.
All right, and Pat joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Life can change so abruptly. Just ask Paul. He's a hardworking entrepreneur. He's young. He's got a young family. Suddenly, though, he develops a rare medical condition where he lost the use of both of his arms.
I could no longer drive a car, couldn't use a computer, couldn't type, couldn't use a mouse. I could not hold my son, who was about a month old.
Paul and his family were facing a mountain of medical bills, but they're so thankful that they're members of Medi-Share.
I think if someone asked me like, hey, does Medi-Share really work? I'm living proof that it works. My 4 children are living proof that it works. My arms, which have been healed, are living proof that Medi-Share works. Just knowing the emotional peace of mind, knowing that our needs are going to be taken care of when we have some type of medical problem, that is such a huge blessing to us.
It could be a huge blessing to you, too. People save so much and love being part of Medi-Share. Call now, 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE, 844-41-BIBLE.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, that's another day's wrap. Thank you to all of our guests. I got a lot of good feedback on Garrett Ziegler, Mr. Marco Polo. That was fun. Could have talked for hours about all the research he's done into the Biden crime family. Thanks to Joe and Eileen Bailey, too, Chuck Schumer's imaginary friends. We'll see you tomorrow. It is now 9 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
We will soon hear from Ukraine's leader. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He's in Germany for talks about the battle against Russia. And Volodymyr Zelensky is also expected to have a phone call with President Trump, who's also talking.